Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over. Instantly.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
All right, it's time for the crossover. It is powered by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com.
I don't know what I did to him, guys. I'm sorry.
Do you guys think that we should have Trump on the show?
Huh?
If given the opportunity,
Ooh.
do you think that we should have Trump on?
Well, I
We
would
had
like
a
to
very
ask.
similar quandary yesterday.
I would like to ask him about the Big Ten and during the COVID year and how he got Big Ten football back.
Oh, interesting.
I
with
would
Kevin
like
Warren.
to just ask him off the wall questions like that.
So what was that conversation with Kevin Warren like?
What about Kamala?
Well, you'd have to have.
Well, you'd have to have
you'd have to
equal,
have both of them.
Yep, you can't.
You
just
wouldn't
have
have
one.
to.
Well, you
if they asked.
if they asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have to extend an invite saying, "Hey, we are having this candidate on."
Yeah. Like Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
So Kamala will be on.
Dave Ramsey
bus
had them
with
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kamala's going to be on the bus.
You'd have to. I don't know.
Bus with the boys.
Well, Trump was on there.
Did they
I
put
know,
him
that's what
on
I mean.
the bus?
Is Kamala actually going to be a bus with the
Was
boys?
he in the bus, or did they go to like a nice studio?
I don't think he got on the bus because that would. Be,
I have no idea.
that
They took a
would-
picture where they're doing their weird little
Yeah.
flex things.
Yep.
I don't really understand.
Only if
that.
you talk sports.
I'd ask Kamala a bunch of questions about McDonald's.
I'd like to hear more about her upbringing. Have I heard any?
No, if you bring
I
them
haven't
on-
heard anything
if
about
you
that.
bring both of them on
No.
a sports station, you have to talk sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, we all have to stick to sports on that.
I get so many texts. So many
Yeah.
texts. It's so bad.
You guys know that you can stop those.
No, you
right?
can't.
Yeah, no, I
No, you
have.
can't.
I've hit,
Yeah,
I've,
you
hit
can.
I've hit stop on just about everyone I've received, and it's almost like it creates even
Just
more.
block the
Comes from a
number.
different number. No, they
No,
come from
it's
different numbers.
Different numbers every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
We had a little fly issue
I
on
got a
Saturday.
firewall.
There was a lot of. Anybody knows there's a lot of flies there over the weekend.
Well,
There
in
was
the
a lot of
sense of
flies.
getting cold, they want in.
Yeah, and they were hanging around the house and with the doors opening back and forth on Saturday. They got in the house, spent almost all day killing a bunch.
Damn kids.
I know, right? And then it reminds me of these texts I'm getting. Like you stop one, then there's like three more
That's
coming your
true.
way. It's like when I kill one fly, I'm like, all right, cool. I think that's it. Then all of a sudden, oh, there's another one. What the hell?
Hey, in our lifetime, what former president would make a good sports talk show host?
Well, Obama knows ball.
He does.
Yeah.
But
Oh, and then
Too
his
boring.
his bracket,
like-
his bracket challenge would be amazing.
but like Trump would be a fantastic sports talk host.
He would.
He would.
Yeah.
Trump would
Yeah.
be the best.
oh, he'd have
for
hot
sure.
takes after hot takes.
Can you
whether
imagine?
agree with them or not?
Can you imagine Donald Trump hosting Big Red Overreaction?
He'd be
Now
one of
that's
those.
how you get it.
He'd be one of those guys where just week to week, like his opinions contradict them, but he's just
Yep.
like blowing in the wind. Like, yeah, that guy sucks. No, he's great. Yeah, that guy
Yeah,
sucks.
like
Yeah.
Satterfield called a great
Can
game. I
you-
don't know what you guys are talking about the next week. Oh,
Can
that was
you-
awful. He should be fired.
Can you imagine like one week, he'll be like Matt Rule, greatest guy.
Yeah.
Next
And then-
week, Matt Rule's got to
Yeah.
go.
Yep. He's
What
he's
about,
awful.
Gotta fire him.
Not a real New Yorker.
What about W? He'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he'd probably talk a lot
Now,
of baseball.
I think
too.
Obama Clinton sports talk show would be really good. Two guys that know ball.
Oh, Obama and Clinton.
Yes.
Like Obama and Clinton in the afternoon.
Barack and Bill. Barack and Bill in the
Barack and Bill.
afternoons. Barack and Bill in the afternoons.
Rock and Bill on drive time.
Barack and Bill in the morning.
Text B&B now. Yeah, that would be sweet.
Yeah, I think they make a run at Todd.
But I feel
Tyler.
like I feel like old Barack would then somehow bring in Bill's escapades, his outside marriage type stuff too.
No, that would just
to
be
need-
they would never
just
bring
to
up
needle
that. That'd be in the open.
yeah. Just to needle him, so you get a little laugh and blush out of
Hey.
Bill Clinton.
How come we can't get anything done around here?
Good
Well,
one.
Bill, we can't have interns. Got him.
Oh, I tune in.
John emails in. He
Hi,
says, I've received exactly 2 political texts in the last 6 months.
Whoa.
Good
I
for
replied
you.
stop and I haven't heard back. So the stop thing works to varying degrees.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful about which ones you're sending stop back to.
Why, if you send stop to one, it actually exacerbates.
Well,
it.
if you send stop back to the wrong one, then they know you're alive and then you'll get more.
okay.
And they send it to all of their friends. But if you send it to the right one, then you actually get it. You know,
Okay.
you get your number stopped.
I've
which is
started
great.
sending stop to friends and family. Just send a text. Stop.
Well, I had
on
this,
group text.
Yeah.
I had this bit with a friend of mine who I was just messing around, and I copied and paste like this person is not able to receive your text right now. They currently have you on a list.
Nah.
And so I copied that and I sent it to them and they freaked out. Like they immediately called me. I didn't answer.
Yeah.
And I just kept, every time they would text me, that's the response to them. I want to go back to the
Stop.
Oh yeah, keep going.
I really think that we have something here with former presidents hosting sports talk shows.
I'm sure that
Matt brought up Richard Nixon, by the way, too. The Tricky Dick Sports Hour.
Tricky Dick Nixon would be great no holds barred sports, Matt says. Okay, but like,
Now Reagan would be good. He played sports.
Well,
The
I
actor?
I thought you said we have to do like
Okay, not lifetime.
living presidents. Yeah.
Well,
Jimmy Carter.
What do you think Abe Lincoln would have done? It.
Very boring.
He would have talked a lot of wrestling.
Why is that?
Because he wrestled. He wrestled
Abe
bears.
Lincoln wrestled bears.
He was a grappler. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Not to go Kurt Signetti on you, but Google it.
so he'd be grinding tape.
Yeah. Call that a bear hold.
He would be grinding tape.
Never had a hand in the dirt.
Exactly. That's what he'd be saying.
you've never played the game. You've never been to the White House. I have.
I'm on the rails every weekend, man. I'm riding those trains.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are, too.
What would an LBJ one be like? A lot
there
of
you
Texas football.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of Houston, a lot of Texas.
A lot of
Dallas.
these, a lot of these
Cowboys
dudes,
talk.
like they just weren't, until recently. Our presidents have been very politically correct. They don't. They're kind of afraid to say stuff.
Yeah.
That is not the case now.
SMU volleyball deserves more respect.
This has been
Reagan would obviously.
This
be
has
good.
been suggested. What about Joe Biden hosting big red overreaction after a close Husker loss?
Oh. He'd be really angry.
I've seen good and bad from this team.
He'd get
Now
really
you got.
angry.
Now you got to listen up. Listen.
Now, okay.
Listen,
So-
knothead.
What about Chester A. Arthur? How would he do?
Oh.
Am I supposed to know anything about Chester?
Sneaky
No.
good.
I'm just
Sneaky good.
Grover Cleveland.
Yeah,
Now he would know.
Grover
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Now, he'd be great for this time of the year.
Yeah. He'd be all about the Browns.
Yeah.
All about the Guardians. Cavs.
See if any of these guys have sports backgrounds.
I'm looking up Chester A. Arthur
Yeah.
facts, so if anybody wants to go another route.
Presidents in the sports they played.
Oh, okay.
So here we go. Eisenhower.
Oh, okay.
Eisenhower.
Well, Dwight.
He was on the. He was. Wow. He played at. He played at Army.
Well, you got Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
In Michigan.
Michigan man.
There you go.
Bernie says Joe Biden would be great. He'd be talking about the game that he was at that Babe Ruth called his shot.
I was there, man. People say it didn't happen. I was there.
You guys talk about the Shohei Ohtani guy.
Don't you
I
think
saw
that would
Babe
help
Ruth.
their base? Like they come on, they host a sports talk show. No, like sit in with a
JFK.
You're just a guest host.
You
You run the show. You go to callers.
and I don't
You
think
go to
it-
break. You
I-
you do reads.
Yeah.
You got Donald Trump is on 1620 talking about Valas. He's encouraging people to sign up
What
for
is
the
a
email
hot
for the
deal?
pick'em.
Yeah.
love food, love fun, love fall.
Caramel apples, kettle corn.
Big turkey leg, big chair.
Listen, I know
Huge
$25,000 isn't a lot of money.
And they do a wonderful job. They're one of the best.
Listen, I know $25,000. It's not much.
But it's
But
all we have.
You might need it. You don't have many hotels, golf courses, things like that I have. So you might need that.
I just go back to John.
1620thezone.com.
I would love those reads. He would just completely go off
Yeah.
script.
John Kerry mispronouncing Lambeau Field
Yeah.
and how it really tanked things for him somehow. Many would argue it was going downhill for him before that, but that's the moment I remember.
JFK played left end and tackle on the football team.
At Yale, right?
At his,
Yale or
at his
Harvard?
prep school.
A real
okay.
Travis Hunter type.
Was he
that
Yale or
JFK.
Yeah.
Harvard?
And then he also
I think it was a Yale.
he
Yeah,
liked
I thought
golf.
so.
He liked to
Yeah,
golf.
I did like to. Yeah, I remember when Mr. Peterman bid on his golf clubs.
But he had He had to quit. He had too much back pain.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. It was Harvard.
It was a Harvard. Okay, and it was one of the 2 Ivy Leaguers.
Kennedy was also known for his devotion to the Boston Red Sox.
Well, if you guys ever saw the movie 13 Days, they would chop up some ideas during the Cold War by throwing a football around. He and Kevin Costner.
Would we get nothing but fever pitch references?
Definitely. I mean, he was early. I mean, it was just pre-04, obviously. You got to be a real fan to care about it during that time.
I can't now get off of President Trump hosting a show on 1620 and interviewing like our regular guests. Bring in
Evan
Robert,
Bland.
Robin Washit.
Hello, Michael Bruntz.
Am I saying that correctly? Is it Bruntz or Bruntz? I actually knew a Bruntz in New Hampshire. Good
Sean
guy,
writes
great
in.
guy.
He says, I would like to do the reverse. I'd like to have Roger Goodell on and talk politics.
Have commissioners talking politics?
Son of a politician, so
Yes. And apparently his dad was a former U.S. congressman and was against the moon landing.
against the moon.
No, he was pro moon. He was
really-
anti-moon
That
landing.
really messes with that time change.
Was JFK the Travis Hunter of his time? There's a poll question up at Happer
Yes.
Show.
That's got to be a poll question. Is
It's
it?
up.
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah.
It's up.
It's
That's
I
awesome.
mean, he played left end and tackle. Some might say that's harder than what Travis Hunter's doing.
Oh, now here's a better one. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Let's play this world that Donald Trump fills in on 1620 one day. Can you imagine
time for the crossover.
can you imagine what about some of our well-known callers? Like, what if random Mike called in?
I don't
That'd be
even
awesome.
know what you asked me.
That'd be awesome.
Mike, what's your point?
Well, he'd have to
What's
get
your
used.
question?
He'd have to get used to Mike just kind of like pausing every 3 to 4 sentences, and you got to fill the
See,
space.
this would when Zone TV would be really, really good because then you get to see the Donald Trump
Mike,
expressions on his face
They're
as
there.
he's getting the questions to him. Be like,
I don't know Brit Prince. Never met her.
Yeah.
Great-
Random Mike would ask a question about
great
Nebraska
family,
women's
though.
basketball.
Great family. Supported me. I don't know if that's the case.
How would President T pronounce Bushini?
They call him the
That's-
Boom Boom Man.
He's always booed
Yeah.
at home. I don't know why.
You fans need to understand. You're booing him. Don't like the booze.
I can't believe that. Isn't that crazy? They boo him.
They boo him.
He's the best punter. They boo him.
And they boo him.
Just like they
That's the
boo me.
problem.
I'm the best president. They boo me.
Oh
It
no.
must be a Lincoln thing. Omaha, they wouldn't boo him.
What, Josh? What are you saying oh no to?
Well, I have to listen to the audio first.
Uh-oh.
But
Oh,
Is this a sports take from Trump?
yeah.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Oh,
like
okay.
a real one?
About Nebraska football?
The tweet says, "Does make America great again involve the Nebraska Cornhuskers winning a national title?" So if you'll give me 30 seconds to listen to it before we
Josh,
play
take your
it.
time.
100%, yeah, because
Take your time.
We
Is
didn't
this
know.
AI generated?
No, this is from the pod.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
this
from
from the
Bussin'.
bus.
Okay, yeah.
Oh
Gotcha.
my God.
Yeah.
Yes, please listen to this, Josh. Get back to us whenever
Yeah.
you're ready.
Yes.
Wow. We will filibuster until
Oh,
we
yeah,
get
totally.
to that.
Oh, just play it.
Okay.
Just play it.
Yeah,
Just play it.
Yeah.
I mean, he might say bad words though. So just hang
Right,
on.
right.
Yeah, just hang on.
That's
President
what I'm
Trump?
listening for.
Yeah, President T might say bad words.
Well-
Didn't you hear him the other day? He said something about wind being bull caca.
yeah, it's crap. It's garbage.
It's garbage.
Can't believe it would happen that way.
Still don't know why they boo a punter.
All right, Josh is laughing now hysterically.
All right, there is no swearing.
All right.
All right, here we
Yeah.
go.
And it's good. Gary, you might want to find a set of headphones.
Here,
for
I
this.
can
All
turn this around. We'll get them going.
This is actual audio from Bussin' with the Boys.
Make America Great Again. Would you say that involves the Nebraska Cornhuskers winning a national title?
Well, how are they doing so far?
Right now, we are sitting with a good record of 5-1. We're on a bye week right now. We're getting well rested. We got Indiana next week. I think we can take care of business there. They'll
Good
be
ball
tough.
club, Indiana.
Well,
Well,
that's a good ball
you
club.
know I love Nebraska. Great people. I won the state by, I don't know, like 20 points. A lot.
That's the clip.
Oh, that's a clip.
Oh,
Wherever you get your
there's
podcast.
not more?
I'm sure there is more.
On
the pod.
Okay. I'm listening
Won
now.
by 20 points.
I'll be
I think
listening.
Nebraska beats Indiana by 20 points.
I'll be listening.
And he
after the show.
wanted the Big Ten to play football.
Yep.
Listen, you know how I love
I
Nebraska.
talked to
He's
Kevin Warren.
busy.
Dude, he's gonna get that Omaha vote.
Now,
Did you see the breakdowns on the boards?
Yep.
Oh,
come down.
269.
Could
There's
come down Omaha.
Japanese flags all over that town. It needs saving, and I'm the man to save it.
now he has probably been to more SEC football games than any other
Yeah.
sitting president.
True.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
think
Obama's
that's
been to
accurate.
more basketball games,
Yep.
NBA, college.
Yeah, he loves to
Trump
go to the
goes
Duke
to
games.
football.
Remember when
And Trump goes to NASCAR.
Obama was at the Zion Williamson when his shoe exploded?
That's right.
His shoe exploded. They had
Oh, it looks like a shoe exploded.
his shoe broke.
It came out of a shoe.
that was crazy. That was a great
Well,
moment in
and then
time.
they,
Fun fact: so did his career.
Zion,
Well,
right
yeah.
there.
That was
Whoa,
later.
no,
That was
hey,
later.
He
That
looked good last night in preseason. He's might be in shape. He might
Yes.
be able to make it for a couple of weeks.
When the lights are at their dimmest, that's when Zion shines.
Hey, you remember wasn't President Obama when he was at Cameron? Wasn't he sitting in the student section?
He was very close. I mean,
Yeah,
very close.
wasn't he on the
I
baseline?
think he was on the yeah, he was on the baseline. Yeah, yeah.
Obama
Yeah.
at Duke game.
You see Tiger Woods at a lot of Stanford games. Just don't as much anymore. Yeah, I think he was on the baseline.
Oh yeah, he was on the court. He was courtside.
Yep.
Clinton liked Arkansas basketball, if I remember right.
Yeah,
oh,
They-
yeah.
they were
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good
So
at
when-
that time.
he's a big
right?
They won I think they when
Went to
he
a
was
Final
in the
Four.
White House. They won
Yeah.
the national championship.
Okay.
He was at the game sitting in a suite.
He liked his 40 minutes of hell. He
I
did.
bet he likes that the drooling hog is back on the floor at Bud
Yeah.
Walton Arena. I mean, he's a big fan.
That does
of
sound like something he'd be excited about.
Drooling hog.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
It's better than our garbage crap.
I believe that's what he referred to a number of women as. Sorry, it was right there.
Too
It was
political,
right
Josh.
there.
Yes.
Too political.
Yes.
Stick to sports.
I can't help myself.
You came in with an agenda. That's okay. You fulfilled it.
Damn it! Now I have to listen to the Bus podcast.
It's probably 90 minutes long or something.
Yeah,
like that.
at what time?
So they don't
stamp
have
did
him
that
on the
happen?
bus, right?
No, they're in a studio.
They didn't go on the bus.
And a lot of makeup.
Trump goes to UFC fights though.
Mhm.
Yeah,
as,
he does.
as a texter
Yeah,
said.
He likes
yeah,
the
he
fights.
did.
Jasker Chad writes
Yeah.
in.
Oh
He
God,
likes hand-to-hand
Connor,
combat.
this is a 2-hour pod.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to listen to the whole thing. I would like someone to please find the timestamp where he talks about
The
Nebraska.
Connor Stallions episode is 3 hours.
Oh,
So I've seen a lot of clips from that.
yeah, that's pretty good.
They talked to one of the Impractical Jokers for 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah. Did you know this, Josh? Podcasts are like movies now. They're 9 hours long.
Oh, they're great
I don't
for
want to
road
hear
trips.
anyone ever again go, "Oh, that movie's 4 hours long. I would never watch a 4-hour movie."
But you can't speed up the movie. You can't go double speed on
That's
a
true.
movie.
That's true.
Yep.
Wonder what Matt Rule podcast he's listening to.
Well, he's
about
listening
clock
to about clock management. Clock
Oh, yeah.
management
Yep,
pods.
the podcast on it. Yeah. He just kind of no one followed
Probably
up
watching
on that.
anime after that.
So they followed up on the question of him sleeping in his office, but no one followed up on the podcast.
What pods are you?
Yeah,
guys-
what
do you
pod is
listen
that?
to? As opposed to you sleeping in your office?
I just listen to podcasts.
Well, then his foot he got a cramp in the
I
middle
gotta
of it
go.
too.
My foot cramp.
Yeah, he's got a foot cramp.
Yeah, that was a
It was
bizarre.
it was a great press conference yesterday.
I don't know
Had a
what
little
game
bit
he
of
was
everything.
watching. That there was all kinds of trash talking.
Yeah.
He was
that
watching.
too.
He was watching Colorado.
He was
and
watching
Kansas
K-State,
State.
Colorado,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
He was 100% watching
Yeah.
that game
was K-State
because
waving bye-bye.
he's a night owl, and I could see him sitting in his chair at midnight saying, "This is garbage."
Was he in his office, though, or was he at home?
No, he was at home.
Falling asleep in his office. Dylan waking him up.
He was at
Coach,
home.
it's game day. Let's go.
That's a good point by Jason. Trump, the only president to take a stone cold stunner.
That's true.
That is true.
Oh, yeah. Back in his,
That
his
was before
pre-presidential
we
days.
thought he might one day be in the White House.
Yeah, I think I saw him in Home Alone 2 as well.
That's right.
Isn't he in the WWE Hall of Fame?
He is.
Yeah, along with Pete Rose.
That's right.
Yep.
R.I.P.
Which president are we going to stone cold stunner next?
Ooh.
Well,
What question?
Don't ask
Well,
that.
That'll be a good.
the current president.
Jimmy Carter.
The current president that probably would not go well. I don't know if you could really pull that off.
Yeah, it would not be fun.
No.
All right.
His last day in office, this old cold stunner.
I just really wanted to do it. It looked like so much fun.
Wasn't tomorrow the day that Hulk Hogan's in town?
That's right.
That's right. You going?
No.
Why not?
I got other things going on.
What if What if you got the opportunity
If I
to
was-
have Hulk on the show? What'd you do?
Would you say yes or would you say no?
I wouldn't be good for him because I would ask him, N-word, the sex tape.
You can't just ask him.
All I'd really
that.
contribute is I'd probably bring up when I was a little Hulkamaniac, back when I watched the WWF.
I used to love you, and now you're garbage, man.
I'd be like, do you still remember my letter when you got sat on by the earthquake?
Brother. I had it hanging on my wall for years, brother, but I moved and I
still
lost.
got it, brother.
You guys could just have Josh on. He'll do an impersonation.
Will he be in costume tomorrow? Like, he doesn't just show up like in jeans and a polo.
No, that would be actually really funny if he did.
I don't know.
But maybe he would
Lot
have
of
the polo
questions
on, and then
there.
he'd tear the polo off, and
okay,
then
so,
he'd be like,
oh
yeah.
All real here. Outside of you tweeting out that picture, I have seen no advertisements.
I went back to that same Hy-Vee last night. You can't walk 5 feet in that store without there being a sign that says Hulk Hogan will be here.
Okay.
All right. But like no,
They
no,
didn't do like a ad buy or
Yeah.
anything like that.
That's weird because
he's
there was
there for
a
an
lot
hour.
of ad time for Fitty.
Mm,
Yep, there was.
interesting.
There was
So
a lot of
they
ad.
must have learned something
Yeah.
from that.
They're like, we didn't need to.
Fitty was on the field last night, and there was a pause on the ESPN pregame show, trying to figure out who that was.
Fitty was at the football game.
Yeah, he was at the Jets game.
Oh
He was
wow!
dapping up Jets players on the field, and they showed him, and there was a pause because I think people were trying to figure out,
Get it
okay,
right. Get it right. Get it
And
right.
then, and then it's
Who was
almost
that?
like somebody, a
Kevin
producer in
Durant?
somebody's ear, and then Scott Van Pelt goes, and Fitty is here.
That's him. One last question here from Matt.
I'm out.
Is it good that SNL mentioned Runza with over the weekend with Walls? Jim Gaffigan was Walls,
Yes,
and he was
they
doing an
mentioned Runza.
impersonation. He said,
Oh,
"I'm going to go back and
really?
get my Runza." Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'll bet that confused a majority of the nation.
yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
they're
not
like,
funny
"What?"
to anybody,
Yeah.
But
except for us.
Nebraska
Yeah.
by 2 touchdowns against Indiana now.
Oddly specific.
Yeah,
Listen,
Coach
I
Walls
love
talking about runs. Hey, Gaffigan's getting to know his audience. He'll be here in January.
Oh,
I guess
that's probably
kudos
right.
to
He's getting ready.
attention to detail.
Yep.
But
Absolutely. You got to lean into the bit. You got to know the bit.
Here's another one of Donald Trump hosting a show on 1620 and taking calls from familiar voices.
Nebraska ball, Mike.
Yeah,
Nebraska ball.
Yeah,
Mike.
Nebraska ball, Mike. Oh, gosh.
I have. What's going on with? Is he okay? Where is?
Yeah,
he
he called
Yeah,
last
he's
week.
fine.
Okay.
Lives downtown.
Downtown.
Yeah, he's good.
He's on Twitter.
Oh, he is.
Downtown Council. Right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
What's he doing on Twitter? What's going on?
Well, he got back on Twitter because he got banned on Twitter.
I know.
whoa.
I know.
He had to change his.
What's his
He's
handle
got a little
now?
sideways.
I think it's like Downtown Council, something like that.
there is no avatar.
Downtown Council.
Something like that.
All right, I'll find it later. You can call into our show.
Yeah.
All right.
We
Well,
could do this. We could get an impersonator that does the voice really, really well.
Hogan or Trump?
Trump.
I'll bet if you can do one, you can do the other.
True. Wait,
would-
you're in tight with
Hey.
Caliendo.
So you kind of have
That's
some
right.
power here. What if I got somebody to come and sit in Big Red Overreaction?
Frank Caliendo.
I would need the person to 100% stay in character, like method acting.
That would
You
be
cannot
like 2
break.
hours.
I
2
think it would be
hours.
just as funny if Frank Caliendo hosted Big Red Overreaction.
Yeah.
I just gave you different responses and different voices, like
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman,
Yeah.
and then you get John Madden. Does he do a Trump? He's got to do a Trump. I would assume he does.
I'll bet it's in his bag. I don't know
Yeah.
if he flexes that muscle.
It's probably per audience.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, some audiences is going to fly. Other audiences like,
Do a lot. He could do a lot of
do
Kuipers.
Madden.
He could do a lot of Kuipers on a Big Red Overreaction. That'd be pretty good.
Andy Dufresne.
Todd.
Mile of crap.
Came out on
Devonte
the other
Adams is
side
already
clean. In the Jets building.
Yeah, shocking.
It's
What was
almost
he-
like he knew he was going.
Do you
Yeah.
think he was staying like in a hotel last night?
Yeah,
Or do you
yeah,
think he
yeah.
pulled a rule and he was actually at MetLife?
He was probably there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
there.
he wanted to hang out with Fitty.
It's my guy. I got to
You
go.
may-
Josh
Hey.
Allen.
There's going to be a tough. I mean, I don't know where he's going to find a home in New Jersey. It's got a Taco Bell in it.
I know.
Oh, that's right. He
It's gonna
does
be
love Taco
it's gonna be a
Bell.
custom job.
Mhm.
I mean, can you imagine now trying to resell that house?
Oh, they
in
got Taco
Vegas?
Bells.
Yeah.
They got Taco Bells.
Oh, that's a huge selling point. Though.
It is. I think it is.
If
If you're buying a house and it has a Taco Bell in it,
if your realtor
pretty
showed
unique.
you that, yeah.
But if they now fired that, fired that employee, or do they have like a rotating guy? Because I think if you have your own Taco Bell, you'd have your own guy.
I think you probably
Yeah.
You're
have
not
to
you're not
change
bringing in
the branding.
Yeah, you're
No.
not bringing in different employees. every day.
Jim knows the way I like.
Yeah,
I like it.
exactly. So Jim's going to have to wait and hope that new Taco Bell is built
Yeah. Mhm.
in his new residence in New Jersey.
Yeah. Does Jim stay there in Vegas, or does he go?
I
to
think
the
he goes
new
with
one?
Devonte.
yeah,
I think he goes
with
with
his own
Devonte, yeah.
personal Taco Bell guy.
Yeah.
So now, that
It's
way
not a personal chef; it's
Yeah.
a personal Taco Bell cook.
that way that guy doesn't lose his job, and now Taco Bell's just
Mhm.
waiting for someone to occupy the house in
Right.
Vegas, and then they'll assign the appropriate employee.
I mean, that house could be on the market for years.
Oh, it could be.
You don't want-
in this market, Josh.
you don't
just
want
never
Jim
know.
waiting.
No.
for
Yeah.
years.
Well,
so go with Devonte.
Who
yeah.
in 3 years will be the highest paid player on the A's payroll?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Mm,
Lawrence Butler.
No. No.
uh,
They'll maybe when they move to Vegas, they'll actually they'll go
Spend
get
money?
like a washed
That's
Like
where
a-
Bryce
like-
Harper will
That's-
finish
yeah.
his career.
Perfect.
oh,
That was
yeah.
just
That's
gonna
good.
say that,
Bryce
yeah.
Harper.
35-year-old Bryce
Oh,
Harper
man.
will be in Oakland now. You are a Las Vegas A.
It's going to be just like when LeBron won one for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's the one.
So you're assuming Bryce Harper wins things.
Yeah. I'm coming home.
It's interesting.
Yep. There'll be a player essay.
Hey, you're right. I mean, he's had chances. Shouldn't have left Washington.
So he'll have the Taco
Shouldn't
Bell.
have argued balls and strikes with an umpire at the JUCO World Series.
I think that one was okay.
No, it wasn't actually. Got kicked out, suspended the next game. Iowa Western won.
I know. But I don't think anybody counts his lack of JUCO World Series
I don't
against
see-
him.
it's not brought up
Except
a lot
for
during
you.
those
I'm
broadcasts.
saying it's a long gestating problem.
Yeah, you know? I've not noticed that brought up in these broadcasts.
Stemming from his youth.
Connor, good luck today.
Thank you. That's Crossover powered by Ever Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Tuesday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Oddson with you. As you can tell, if you're watching along with us on YouTube or at zonetv.live, we both have very weird lower thirds there today, or little supers. St. Elmo's sucks, Josh?
Yeah. It's Indiana Hate Week. I'm hating all things.
Oh, okay.
Indiana.
All right. And I say bring Pancheros back to Nebraska.
Great take by you.
I'm just trying to spread the word. We need them back. That way I don't have to do a sauce heist every year.
Well,
in Des Moines.
You could localize the sauce heist instead.
I want that Nebraska sauce. Mm-hmm. It's a good place. We got to bring it back. That's what you need. Welcome to the show. We have many things to come today. Allan Bell will join us at 11:30 as always. Jacob Bigelow at 1 as always. And we'll catch up with the Hoosiers with Sammy Jacobs of HoosierHuddle.com coming up in about 25 minutes to talk about Indiana. What do we know about Indiana through 6 games? Nothing.
Hard to have takeaways.
Hard to tell. Little hard to tell. That's why you got to get in there, Josh. You got to grind the tape a little bit. Mm-hmm. You got to see what's going on, see how they're doing it, see what their personnel looks like.
Get in the lab.
Yeah. So we'll get an update on the Hoosiers, and I have some thoughts after watching them a little bit closer last night, as well as we go on throughout the show today. That's the lineup powered by the referees, John Higgins, Weather Guard. Want to hear from you guys? 402-951-1620 in the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh O at 1620thezone.com. In the Equitable Bank Zone inbox, we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. 1620 The Zone TV or at zonetv.live. Speaking of the YouTube comments, topic alert is back, Josh.
Oh?
Theo says, did you guys see what happened to the Benson Bunnies? People love talking about high school football in this specific context.
This exact context of OPS is dwindling.
It's
West Side's always good.
It's sad.
Millard's always good.
I don't even want to have a take on this because I'll just get dragged by you. I am staying away from this. Is like I would rather talk about the presidential race.
Wow.
I would rather talk about which candidate I enjoy more for a variety of reasons than have any takes on Benson stopping their football team this year because they don't have enough bodies, or Lincoln High losing 65-0 at half and leaving,
tapping out.
I would rather talk about anything else.
That
people are just getting crushed about this.
The bus is like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or whatever. We could just play that with our own commercials, and that'd probably take us to 2.
There you go. That'd be great.
You just want to do that?
Yeah, that would be better than me trying to talk about, bad, historically bad and currently bad Class A football teams.
Recruiting versus open enrollment.
Oh, there's that.
Which is the real issue that people have, but...
Oh, that's the real issue?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 70 different arms of the conversation, each of which people have problems with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. So guess what? I'm zagging. No takes. I have no thoughts. I have no takes because there's too many landmines, Josh.
Put it in the Marcel Ozuna file.
I've looked at this open field and I said, I don't like the look of that. Too many landmines. Stuff popping out at me all the time. I'm out. Not talking about it. Deal? Yeah, put it in the Marcel Ozuna file.
I respect the take.
All right. Thank you.
Or the lack of take.
I appreciate that. So, not doing it. No. We have other stuff to talk about.
But you are going to ask us all day long on the show, have you heard? Have you heard about a story from 14 hours ago? Yes, we've heard, and we don't care.
No, we do. We do care. We just don't have that many opinions. Mad Piper writes in.
Hi, Mad Piper.
Connor, you could talk about the issues without actually weighing in with a personal opinion. Actually, I don't think that's right in this scenario. you will be able
reading the news.
You will
isn't
be
good
able
enough?
to you will be able to tell. You will be able to tell, like what the opinion is, what the takeaway is from this. If I just, you know what? Should I try? Should I just go to the? Should I go to the Stu part of the story and then just read it to you?
Sure.
That way, people are caught up with this.
That way, it's covered. It's
all right.
Yeah,
here we go.
Then
Here's Stu Pospisil from
then
the
we
Omaha
can
World Herald.
get to that Caitlin Clark thing.
Omaha Benson football has forfeited its final 2 games because of low participation numbers. Canceled our Thursday night's home game with Lincoln Southeast and an October 24th game at Millard South. Quote, the decision follows a thoughtful discussion between our coaching staff and school administration. Benson principal Melinda Bailey said in a letter to staff and families, we know this is disappointing for our student athletes, their families, competitors, and our other school communities. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. We appreciate your understanding. Benson was on a 17-game losing streak before the cancellations. The Bunnies were outscored 505-6 in 9 games last year. And
I'm read that again.
505-6 in 9 games.
505-6.
505-6 in 9 games last year, and 363-22 in 7 games so far this year. They had been 3-6 the year before that, before their coach Terrence Mackey left for Central, and 17 players, and Abdul Muhammad. That's just what the story says.
Mad Piper has responded.
All right.
Okay, I stand corrected. Apparently.
Yeah. No. Josh is down too. Here's our thoughts.
Our thoughts.
Yeah. We're not talking about Benson football. Nope. There's just no way. There's just no way to do it. It's too many landmines. Not doing it.
Not worth it. I like my legs.
All right, elsewhere. I got thoughts on Indiana, like I said. Dylan Raiola named one of the most impactful newcomers in college football this year. But a certain somebody, it'll make sense who later on, was ranked higher.
Higher?
There's many people higher than Dylan Raiola, and some of which you would expect. Maybe a couple of which you would not expect. We'll have that. Dan Lanning confirms that he put 12 people on the field for the second to last play of the game. Therefore, he's a genius, and we love this guy.
I loved that clip.
I have a couple clips from Matt Rule from yesterday. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are the only 2 people in the playoffs. Did you know this?
I've heard rumblings.
Devonte Adams has been traded. And welcome to the Big Ten SEC Football Challenge. Oh, that's right.
What?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't have a lower third for that.
Well, why not?
You put it on there late.
Too late?
Not too late. I just didn't check it before I went into the studio today.
Yeah, the SEC and the Big Ten in discussions over landmark scheduling agreement with focus on revenue and solidifying CFP spots. Of course, they're definitely worried about solidifying CFP spots because what does that do, Josh? That gets you more revenue.
Revenue. Could it really just be about money, Connor?
Revenue. Oh, yes. It very much could be. So we'll talk about all those things as we go on throughout the show today. Tiger Shark Diver says, yes, sucks Benson had to forfeit. Feel bad for the kids. You know what? I'll adopt that as an opinion.
Good take.
I don't think that anybody can be mad at that opinion. Right?
That's probably the safest opinion. Lands you the most on the fairway, so to speak.
Now, if you wanted to say, would I be too
careful?
Would it be too dangerous to say like maybe there needs to be like a reclassification, where some of these schools toward the bottom of enrollment in Class A with these participation numbers, maybe the school should be organized based on participation numbers rather than the school
Student
enrollment
body,
numbers, or maybe there should be like a Class AA.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting
comment.
Those are some thoughts.
You're saying
I'm saying that
more attention to detail from the powers that be.
I'm saying that we don't have to do it this way just because this is the way it's always been done.
Interesting. But
Maybe
what about
we could adapt to the
Nick
current.
Nolte?
We could adapt to the current times and measures. Adapt or die, Josh. Adapt or die. Brad Pitts said that in Moneyball that one time.
He did. He also said, "My guys don't pay for soda."
My guys don't pay for. I don't want my guys paying for soda. So, if I had an opinion, that would be the closest that I would get to having an opinion. All right, so
Now-
you can do this as a poll question. By the way, we get this from Happer, Happer's meme guy.
Okay.
Which would you rather talk about, high school football discourse or the Caitlin Clark thing, the Caitlin Clark story?
Which would we rather talk about, or the
Which would
audience?
you rather have us talk?
Okay,
about? Yeah, I think that's the question.
we'll put that up at Happer Show on Twitter.
Please do vote. Maybe we'll get to one or the other by the end of the show. Or maybe this is it for both of them. All right, we'll be back. We got to round out this hour. And we'll talk to Sammy Jacobs of the Hoosier Huddle at the top of the hour. Gonna ask him some questions. Does he have the answers to those questions about Indiana so far? Or are we just saying, nah, forget about who they played. Those guys are good. We'll find out. We'll come back for more next as we talk about this SEC Big Ten scheduling agreement. Scheduling agreement, as Gus Johnson would say. Coming back on 1620 The Zone. The Big Ten and the SEC are handshake memeing. They had their big summit, their big meeting, and then now they've decided, there's some things that we could do.
We run this game.
Yeah. So they're going to. Here's the report anyway from Dennis Dodd.
Yeah, just read the report, Connor. You don't have to have an opinion.
The Big Ten and SEC are in preliminary discussions about staging a series of non-conference games with each other that would enhance their primacy. That's
a word.
Primacy.
We're learning a lot.
Type it in, Josh.
Yeah.
What is that? The right word in the right place? Primacy.
Hey. Oh, tab's muted. Okay, here we go.
Primacy.
Okay. And the definition checks out.
State of being first as an importance, order, or rank.
Yeah. And financial dominance over the rest of the FBS. Sources confirmed CBS Sports. The teams from the FBS's two strongest conferences would play as many as 12 to 16 challenge games, similar to the non-conference blockbuster matchups in major college basketball, per USA Today, which first reported these discussions. For television purposes, media rights holders would probably be interested mostly in the name brands, such as Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, LSU for starters. Sources said eyes were opened this season after administrators saw the earning potential of games like Texas and Michigan, Alabama and Wisconsin. Those games were scheduled before the latest round of realignment, but scheduling more of them in the future would raise revenue for the two conferences already far ahead of the rest of the FBS in earning power. Of course, you know who owns the SEC rights and you know who owns the Big Ten rights. The talks were said to be very preliminary, and the financial terms have not been discussed. This has a long way to go, said a person familiar with the talks who added there is a desire to continue exploration at this point. There's a couple more things in there about what ifs, whatever. But if this is getting out there,
they want it to be out there.
Yeah, of course they do. Why? Because they could make money. Yeah.
Money.
This was always going to happen. And if it doesn't matter if you lose anymore.
Right. Play the game that makes the most money if it doesn't matter that you lose.
Yes. So we're seeing this split and this sort of like, this gap between what makes sense for these teams and what makes sense for their fans and what makes sense for television revenue. If you're a fan,
yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say, if you're a fan, how mad are you going to be when Vanderbilt rolls Purdue?
What do you mean?
Well, we want the Big Ten to win. We want the Big Ten to win all the games.
Oh no, we don't care about that.
No, yeah, you're gonna be conference rooting.
No. Really?
You're gonna be keeping score. Not you, but the John Bishops and Jack Mitchells of the world.
I guess so.
Definitely.
I guess
be dialed in unnecessarily to Purdue Vanderbilt.
I guess so. But I don't think that's the point of saying like, oh, the Big Ten wins the scheduling challenge. The point is obviously creating more revenue for these conferences who just can't, stop thinking about how to make revenue. But if you're a fan, are you excited that Nebraska gets, a team from the SEC every year? So you make a non-conference schedule and it's garbage FCS team or whatever, lower level group of 5, SEC opponent, rivalry game, and then that's it. And then you start your 9-game grind of a conference schedule. What Rule said yesterday about the Big Ten, and we'll play that clip on the show today, is pretty noteworthy, especially in a conversation like this. It's hard. It's hard to play the 9 games that the Big Ten already plays in a row. I think the West Coast teams are already learning that. It might not be that difficult. And hell, Nebraska thought the exact same thing when they joined the conference, right, Josh? Might not be that difficult to take down one of Wisconsin, one of Iowa, one of Ohio State, one of Indiana, Illinois, Purdue, whatever it might be. But all of a sudden, when you play all of them in a row and they play a certain style and they have they have this
grind,
Big Teniness to them, you realize that it's really hard to keep up that consistent performance week over week over week. And so now you're adding another SEC opponent to the schedule potentially. And I should probably just stop saying potentially because this is going to be a thing. This will happen. This will happen. No doubt. This will definitely happen. So yeah.
I mean, I think it definitely sort of solves the issue we've been having and talking about scheduling. Like, do you want to see good games or do you want to see, Tarleton State come to town?
Well, I think it's hard for I think it's hard for schools, especially. I mean, we could kind of use Nebraska's situation here as an example. Like, you're trying to get this thing off of the ground, and you're trying to whether it's get to a bowl game or what, but you're trying to get some momentum in your program and trying to sell progress. If you're the coach, this is for any new coach anywhere. Let's get momentum. Let's sell progress. How do you get momentum and sell progress? You do exactly what Indiana's done in their first 6 games of the season. You play garbage nobodies and win them all.
Win by a lot.
Exactly. Like, that's how you do it. So whether it's real or fake, you could say that you're 6-0 and that you're ranked number 16 in the country. You know what you can't do? Maybe Indiana is the exact same team, but they played an SEC team who they lost to, a couple hard, a conference game that was in there, and an actually difficult non-conference game. 3 harder games than they've played so far this year, which wouldn't take much for the record. And they were 3-3. Would they be the exact same team? Sure.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't feel this good. And people are having doubts about Signetti, and maybe they'd have the trajectory changes, right? So that's, if you're a new coach, that's how you'd want to build it. And you're just not going to be afforded that opportunity.
That's true. Now
that shouldn't dictate how the tenure goes overall.
Right. I mean,
you're still going to get time to have success and show, like, okay, Matt Rule's through an 18-game sample size now. We didn't like the first 12, but we liked the last 6 better.
It's baked into the cake that, that third game is going to be the SEC Challenge game. And yeah, we might not come away with a win that for generic school with new coach, we might lose that SEC Challenge game, but
if you win it,
yeah, if you win it.
Sorry, keep going.
No, it's baked into the cake of, we could probably take that out as we're assessing the early part of his tenure.
Yeah.
And for Nebraska, I mean, gosh, think of all the juicy matchups. How about a rematch with Florida? How about Nebraska, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Missouri? Reignite some of those rivals. Nebraska, Texas. Could I interest you in that? It doesn't matter because you're going to play Texas A&M every single time.
They're just going to put them against Texas A&M.
Trev Albert's coming to town each and every year.
If you matched up, so let's say I clicked on this Football Scoop story where the guy put the matchups together. He did.
How'd he do it?
So, with understanding that the future is extremely undefined, the two conferences know that they want to play each other at some point. That's pretty much it. Blah blah blah. Knowing or not knowing all that, here's one stab at how the Big Ten SEC scheduling challenge might look if it were played this coming weekend and scheduled with the current framework of the 2 leagues' existing television agreements.
Texas, Ohio State.
I don't know what that means. Texas, Oregon. Texas, Oregon would be number 1 versus number 2, obviously. You would get.
Would it be Georgia, Ohio State?
It would be Alabama, Ohio State, and then Georgia, Penn State. And then down the line,
Georgia got off easy.
You'd go Tennessee, Michigan, Illinois, Texas A&M.
Oh.
Missouri, Iowa. Perfect. Nebraska, Ole Miss.
Oh. Yeah. That would be fun. Lane Kiffin versus Nebraska would be fun.
Indiana, LSU.
Oh. First to 65 wins.
Northwestern, Auburn. Arkansas, Wisconsin.
Hugh Freeze.
I've long thought that Wisconsin is the Arkansas of the Big Ten. So this is perfect. There's the former employers of Brett Bielema will meet. Minnesota, Vanderbilt. Mississippi State, Purdue. Florida, Washington. Rutgers, South Carolina. Those are your matchups. And then it just overtakes the entire day on all the networks.
Mm-hmm.
Which conference commissioner says no to this out of the two? Neither of them.
Neither.
They both love this. They're huge fans.
You're doing it.
Because look at what the Big Ten did this past weekend. They took over everything that wasn't on ESPN, and it was like they took over everything.
Ohio State, Oregon, most watched Big Ten game since 2008?
Yeah.
Is that what I saw?
It's over 10 million people, over 13 million people at its peak. That's a pretty highly watched game. I think Michigan, Ohio State does like 15 to 19 basically every year. That's at the end of the season, and it has stakes and all that stuff. I mean, for a mid-October, that's pretty special. All right. Alex Lincoln says, Josh here for conference cheering. Yeah, Josh.
I'm not.
Root for the Big Ten. That's you.
That's John Bishop and Jack Mitchell. I'm just telling you ahead of time what they're going to do.
Yeah, there will be a natural inclination to do that. If you're matching them all up against each other, you're going to keep score for sure.
Definitely.
Yep. But does it mean anything? I forget who usually wins the Big Ten ACC challenge in basketball.
Got to be the ACC. Right?
I don't know. It doesn't matter because the Big Ten always sucks when it gets to the NCAA tournament anyway.
That's right.
So it doesn't actually matter who wins. All right. Coming back, let's talk a little Indiana. Get the preview on them with Sammy Jacobs of HoosierHuddle.com. Talk some Hoosier football. There's some buzz about Hoosier football. How do they handle that this week? We will discuss it next on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Speaking of number 16, that's what Indiana is ranked. All the way up to 16. 6-0, Josh.
How'd you do that? You just seamless transition.
16-20, Indiana 16. Oh, if only Nebraska was number 20. But they're number, I think, like 27, the equivalent to the AP poll, which is actually not ranked. You can just call that not ranked. Let's talk about the Hoosiers, the football Hoosiers, with Sammy Jacobs of HoosierHuddle.com. Joins us now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Sammy, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Pretty good. So 6-0. I imagine people around there are pretty fired up about the start that Kurt Cignetti's had.
Yeah, it's an understatement. You know, it was kind of slow to take up, and you know, people wanted to see how he did early on, and now the crowds are starting to get bigger. Homecoming is sold out on Saturday. They just sold out a second game against Michigan, and you know, the final two home games, Washington and Purdue, are trending towards sellouts too. So it's the student fan base has embraced Kurt Cignetti. There are a number of awesome T-shirts, and you know, everybody's doing all these AI graphics that are hilarious. And all that stuff, but it's football fever is taking over Bloomington.
Yeah, I mean, so it starts to really, you know, wind up this week when Nebraska comes to town, and maybe like is it more, Sammy, about for the fans, I suppose, is it more about the opponent, or is it more about, hey, Big Noon, we're ranked number 16 in the country, like, or is it more sort of about the pomp and circumstance of the fact that it's a big Indiana football game?
You know, in the past, it has been, we're going to go see IU play, let's say, Ohio State, or when Nebraska came in, we're going to see them play Nebraska. And I always, that's not why you go to see your team, no matter if it's Nebraska or Indiana or whoever. But just adding a brand name like Nebraska, you have Big Noon coming in, which IU fans have to realize that this is the biggest game of the week in Big Ten. That's why they put it at noon. I know some people are disappointed with the early kickoff, but just all of those things combined, it's also homecoming weekend, which IU does. It's not a slight at Nebraska. It's IU does it every single week this weekend in October, which is, you know, it is what it is. I'd like to win homecoming games, but you can't pick and choose your opponents.
Right.
So it's all of those things.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sammy Jacobs with us, HoosierHuddle.com. Let's start with the offense here from a football perspective. I mean, it's pretty airtight. You know, from a bulk number perspective, they really pass it well. They really run it well. They don't turn it over much. The two turnovers both came in that, are the two interceptions for Curtis Rourke both came in that Maryland game a few weeks ago. I guess when you look at the offense, where does it start for them, knowing that so far in these first 6 games, it's all gotten going?
I think it starts with Curtis Rourke and then the offensive line, and he's gotten great protection. When opponents have gotten pressure, he's been able to escape the pocket a little bit and make throws. You know, he takes care of the ball. He has those 2 interceptions. He had 1 fumble against Maryland. But other than that, he rarely puts the ball in harm's way. And IU has had really bad quarterback play over the last 3 years. So it's kind of a revelation to have a guy who's 6-year senior who, you know, knows how to keep his poise, who's played in big games, even though he was in the MAC. And it starts with Curtis Rourke, but there are so many members of that supporting cast around him that really make this offense dangerous.
Is there anything that you learned in I mean, you start 4-0 and it's, you know, we got scores like 77-3 going up on the board and 52-14 and 42-13. Like, there's some pretty dominant stuff in the first 4 games. But over the last 2, before Indiana, of course, had their bye last week, just like Nebraska did, against Maryland and Northwestern, was there anything new that you learned in those 2 spots where the competition is it's Big Ten competition. It's a little bit more stiff than what you saw in the first four. Like, is there anything that came to light in those two games that wasn't there maybe in the first four?
I think it just reinforced that this team is comfortable in who they are and they trust who they are. And, there was a moment in the Northwestern game where Northwestern cuts the lead to 27-24, and your average IU fan is going, uh-oh, here we go again. And I'm sure sports fans have that feeling all over the place.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, IU gets a stop, you get a touchdown, and you walk out of Northwestern with a 41-24 victory going, okay, you feel pretty good about yourself. Same with Maryland. They go on a big run, and that's the thing you've learned, that these runs, they did it against FIU. Everybody's done it against Western Illinois. They did it at UCLA, but now, as you said, as the competition gets stiffer, those runs are still continuing where they score 3, 4, 5 times in a row. And I think the final 7 drives outside of taking a knee against Northwestern, IU put points on the board. And that's how you just suck the soul out of an opponent.
Right. Can Indiana continue with this really, really balanced, two-headed sort of rushing attack with Justice Ellis and Tyson Lawton? Like, those two guys basically have the exact same stat line as you look throughout the season so far through the 6 games. They've been able to keep those guys pretty balanced, each of them right around 400 yards. If it leans one way or the other, will it lean one way or the other, I guess, as the schedule turns up a notch in the final 6?
I don't think so. I think, the IU has 4 running backs who came in and played. Now, Elijah Green hasn't played the last 2 games, but you throw in Kalon Black in that group as well, who's had several touches, but clearly below Justice Ellison and Tyson Lawton. But you go back to Curtis Netti's teams at JMU, and this is how they use their running backs. All of them, you could put all of them on the field in the same number, and they look exactly the same. And it's amazing. And their skill sets are very similar. Their level of skills are very similar. So, the unselfishness has been a surprise, especially in this day and age of college football, where I want the ball, I need the ball. If I don't get the ball, peace out, I'm out of here. But these guys, it's hey, you know what? He's running the ball. I just had a 17-yard run. Let's get fresh legs in there and stuff like that. So I think they'll tighten it up. They did that against Northwestern with Tyson Lawton and Justin Ellison, but they could go 4 deep at that running back position and really not lose a step.
I was watching them a little bit, and one of our guests yesterday mentioned who would watch Indiana a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about Zach Horton's role in the offense, where the stats look pretty pedestrian. It's 9 catches for 89 yards. He's a tight end, but it seems like he is a really, really important piece to what they do in the run game, in the blocking game, and obviously in the screen game a little bit as well, which Indiana's always been so good at. I feel like that guy stood out, even though if you look at them from a statistical standpoint, it's like, well, he's probably the 15th guy on the list.
Yeah, he's the heart and soul of this offense, and he does all the dirty work. And if you're a football guy, this is the player you root for, because he is a football guy. If you need him to block, he'll block. If you need him to block a defensive lineman, a linebacker, whatever, if you need him to catch a pass, he'll catch a pass. He makes this offense go, and he makes Curtis Rourke's job a lot easier. He's just a tough dude. If he played for Nebraska, your fans would love him too. But when opposing coaches point out, yeah, that guy is the heart and soul of the offense of the opponent, that doesn't happen very often. And so that speaks worlds about what Zach Horton means to this offense. And he could do anything he wanted on the football field in terms of catching passes, blocking. And he's just a tough dude with a chip on his shoulder.
Defensively, Sammy, the numbers, once again, the bulk numbers, they look really, really good to start. How much of that, like how curious are you? I think like if you are more sure about one thing or the other, it probably leans to the offense, just given the history and what they've done on that side of the ball. Are you curious at all about the defense coming up as the competition heats up a little bit, even though what they've shown so far has been really good, or am I off base on that?
No, you're right. The offense, you feel more confident in the offense continuing what they're doing because they have more depth at those skill positions than the defense. Now, the defense has played very well, but it's a little bit thinner on the defensive line. It's a little bit thinner. The linebacker is a little bit thinner in the secondary. I am curious to see how they do against Nebraska. Rail is probably the best quarterback they faced, and it's probably the best offense that it's the most dynamic offense. Maryland's a pretty good offense, and they did okay. But can they limit the big plays? Can they limit Rail passing the ball and stuff like that? Can they continue their good tackling that has really, really helped them, I think, keeping the ball in front of them, making teams go, 10, 12, 13 plays. And the more plays you run as an offense, the more chances you have to screw up.
Yep.
So, this for a team that did not tackle in spring practice or fall camp, that has been the most impressive part of this defense.
The JMU transfers, that's been a big storyline. How much do you feel like that has, that's really, I guess, just ignited things to start here? How big of a deal was that, Kurt Signetti? How many of them? Were there 12 or so of them, JMU transfers? How many?
Yeah, about 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to the whole success. You're bringing in, I think they ended up bringing 50 new players, including freshmen, but you got that core group of a dozen or so players from JMU and the coaching staff from JMU to come in and bring their culture. And you have veteran guys and guys who start to, form that culture at IU. So you're not really starting from scratch. You're bringing what you had at JMU. You're putting in Bloomington. You have guys who are good leaders, who are productive on the field, who people will follow. And that's just accelerated, the rebuild of Bloomington.
There's 4 home games left in the schedule: Nebraska, Washington, Michigan, and then Purdue, which is always a big one at the end of the season. You go to Michigan State and Ohio State in between those. Which is the if you're to put a read on it right now, which is the home game that the fan base is most excited for? Because those are some big ones down the stretch.
You know what? It might be this homecoming game, and we talked about it before with Big Noon coming in and things like that. Weather's supposed to be fantastic in Bloomington, but it's Michigan's always an exciting game because the last time they beat Michigan, nobody was in the stand. And so you have that rare chance to maybe knock off Michigan. The bucket game is, to me, that should be the game you circle. Let's get pumped up for that one, no matter what year it is and what your record is. That should always be the biggest game on the schedule. And then Washington's a new opponent, but I think that one has the least buzz because of that. They're coming off a national title game appearance, but they kind of struggled this year under Jed Fish. But yeah, what Michigan is. Knocking off of them is a feather in your cap, and then getting the bucket back is always exciting. But I think the most hype, and it might just be that it's the next game,
right?
Is Saturday's game.
All right, Sammy. We appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Sammy Jacobs, HoosierHuddle.com. You can check out all your IU coverage there. So a few things on Indiana, and I don't there's so much, and we appreciate Sammy joining the show, but there's only so much that you can put in context with what they've done so far. It just makes this game really interesting. And I think obviously you see the 6-0 record, to our point earlier, talking about getting things started and moving. You see the 6-0 record, it's a new coach, and you're like, whoa, maybe it doesn't matter. And this team has confidence, and we'll see. But no doubt about it. I mean, the schedule gets really hard down the stretch, or just a lot harder than it has been. So I was diving into a few things with them last night. And so first of all, we'll start here with Bill Connolly had a blurb. He ranked college football's unbeaten teams after week 7.
Okay.
So there are I don't know how many of those that we have left. 10, maybe 11.
That sounds about right.
We have 11 unbeaten teams in college football left. Indiana, out of the unbeaten teams, is ranked 5th.
Oh,
behind Miami,
Cam Ward.
Miami, Penn State, Oregon, and Texas.
Okay.
So
who are they ahead of?
Iowa State, BYU, Pitt, Army, Navy, Lib.
A lot of disrespect for, first of all, the troops. Second of all, the Big 12.
A lot of disrespect for the troops. Tons of that. Sorry, the Big 12 as well. So he wrote this about Miami, and then he said, "Hey, just copy and paste this for Indiana." Is the defense trending in the wrong direction? He wonders. So take what I said about Miami and repeat it here. But he didn't. When he said, it's just a remaining question: is the defense trending in the wrong direction? Now you've seen, as I asked Sammy about there in that interview, like they've played two tougher games, notably tougher games than they saw in their first four.
Right.
In their last two before the bye. I was looking at them game by game, and I was really picking at those two against Northwestern and Maryland. Josh, you watched the Northwestern Indiana game last night?
I did. I big and sixed it.
You grounded the tape on that?
Grind some tape. Getting ready for the show this week. First of all, you look at the score and you're like, oh, kind of easy win for Indiana. It was a game until 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and not that is the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting game though for both teams. Nobody really got stops.
Yeah,
there were no turnovers.
4 punts in the game, I think.
Weird game. And then I was looking at some of what they were doing in the run game, and I asked this question to Sammy too. Like, I think what they're doing in the pass game, they'll have to lean in on that a little bit more, because I think there's some signs of some stuff that just, like, first of all, statistically, are you going to be able to have two backs get you, 80 yards a game, have the exact same amount of carries? Like, I don't know, maybe. They run hard. They look like they're good backs to me.
Monungai didn't get going against Nebraska.
Right.
Could 2 Indiana running backs get going?
So Northwestern, in the Northwestern game, they ran the ball 35 times. Half of them, 17 of them, went 2 or less yards.
Yeah.
So it's boom or bust. It's explosive. Against Maryland, they ran it 38 times. 20 out of those runs went 2 or less yards. They threw picks in their first 2 drives against Maryland. There was even a brief moment in the Maryland game where it's like, well, what's going on? They're and then just looking at them from a eye test standpoint, I think their defensive line looks small. I think their defensive backs look slow.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that Nebraska can't take advantage, like they might not take advantage of all this stuff, but I'm saying if we're approaching them like they're the number 16 team in the country and they're undefeated, and this is going to be like Nebraska's a touchdown underdog, like then we have to hold them to that standard. That's not what they look like to me. That's not what they look like.
I noticed Northwestern's quote unquote mobile quarterback was able to do some things against the Indiana defense.
Yeah, they made some nice plays down the field too.
And actually, this is going to be completely the opposite of what we said last week. I actually think there might be some spots for Heinrich Harburg to.
Oh!
So, it was just one of the takeaways I had while watching this game was, God,
Josh grinding the tape.
If Northwestern's mobile quarterback could, and I don't think he's that mobile if you haven't gleaned that yet.
Mr. Lausch?
Yeah.
Are you a big Mr. Lausch guy?
If he was able to get out and run around against Indiana, I think Harburg could do the same.
Yeah.
If they chose to go that route.
So I think the interesting thing here is how will Nebraska play it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because at the same time, as I feel like there's an opportunity for Nebraska to get loose on offense, in a variety of different ways, I also think you do want to keep the ball away from their offense, right?
You're right.
Like that's the way that they can beat you. I know Sammy just made the point of like, hey, the more you have the ball on offense, the more you're going to make mistakes. Like, yeah, unless you're like super against making mistakes, which Nebraska has been so far this year. And Indiana's done that for the record as well. and their wide receivers are pretty good, and I think their quarterback is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's transferable to better talent, better opposition, because we've been like, oh, they haven't played anybody. Yeah, but the offense does look pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like that would translate, and with
it's been really efficient. Like point blank period, it's been really efficient. Now competition matters.
It does.
Competition matters.
With the comp to Miami, I think that's really interesting because we've seen Miami play 2 mid ACC teams, Virginia Tech and Cal, famously of the ACC, and it's gone down to a referee review
botch. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think if you get them in a corner a little bit, they're going to be more likely to lean on their pass game. If that's the case, Nebraska get after the passer a little bit. They do get it out quick. Like, I don't know. I continue to like the matchup. That's all. I continue to like the matchup.
Yeah. It doesn't mean there's not room for Nebraska to step in it, but
plenty, Josh.
I like the matchup.
Alex and Lincoln says Oddson grinds film like the football guy he is.
That's right. Who said this?
Alex and Lincoln.
Alex and Lincoln, thank you for noticing.
Which game are you going to grind tonight?
Probably another Indiana game. Probably Indiana, Maryland. Nice. Maybe Indiana, Charlotte. Indiana, UCLA.
Jeff writes in, I just can't take a quarterback named Curtis seriously.
Ooh. Poll question?
Oh, no.
It's Curtis with a K, right?
I think he is a Curtis with a K. Yeah. Does that change things for you? I'd rather have a Curtis with a K than a Curtis with a C.
That's
my
true.
Quarterback, I think.
Yeah. He's Canadian?
Mr. Curtis?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, he transferred from Ohio. That's the guy. So, no doubt about it. They've been impressive. They've checked every box they've needed to so far. They've done more against their weak schedule than obviously Nebraska has.
Yes.
But these are two teams that are just built differently. They don't like Nebraska wasn't going to do that. Like they weren't going to win 52-14, unless everything kind of went their way. So, we'll see. We'll see how it matches up on Saturday. Obviously, we have plenty of time to talk about it, but just watching them a little bit and, asking, how is this going to play itself out? Like, I just don't think what I don't think you could do in this game is do the like, oh, they beat Northwestern by 17. Oh, they beat Maryland by 14. And we only beat X by X,
Definitely. Don't do that.
This is just a clash. It's a clash of styles. And it'll probably come down to who makes a couple mistakes.
That reminds
big
me.
Situations.
That was the other thing. I think Indiana ran it up against Northwestern.
It got loose at the end for sure.
But I think they ran it up. They were doing things.
Would that surprise you?
No, they were doing things up 10. It seemed like that they didn't have to do
pedal to the metal. Yep.
Like, because the broadcasters were like, they've scored 40 every game. They've scored 40 every game, and they weren't at 40 yet. So it was like
Kurt Signetti. I saw an interview with him yesterday where he's sitting in the film room doing an interview, and he kind of reminds me of like Ray Zielinski. He makes car parts for the American working man because that's who he is. And that's who he cares about. You take that how you will. I don't know. Somebody might be offended by that, but just listen to him talk. He kind of talks like the mid, one of the northeast Midwest Chicago guy, that type of thing. Car parts, brake pads.
Are you saying he's also full of crap?
I don't know. I don't know that to be true yet. I just say he talks that way. They asked him about like, would you take another job or something? Like they're already worried about that. So Indiana, Nebraska fans handshake meme. Don't take another job, please. Don't leave us. I love you. Yeah, he's got that's it. Thank you, Bigalow. He's got the Western Pennsylvania. He's got the Yins kind of thing going on. Very, Rust Belty, that type of thing. Happer's meme guy. Is Josh Oddson the real football pervert on 1620 The Zone?
Oh, interesting question.
I don't think Mr. Peterson is big in 60 in Indiana Northwestern.
I don't think so.
That's what I'll say.
Sure doesn't seem like it. And he loves football. Also, I big in 60 Purdue and Illinois last night. What a crazy game that was. Also, the
46 points the second half.
The broadcaster, I don't know who did play-by-play for that game for whatever Fox network. It might have been BTN. It might have been FS1. I don't know. The score,
Stop whispering.
The Fox bug. That guy's an insane person.
Oh, it wasn't, what's his name on the Colorado game?
No. It wasn't Mark Jones.
Mark Jones.
It was.
He was in his chest like bronchitis.
This guy was trying to be the white Gus Johnson.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that. I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Chris in Montana. I don't understand the logic that they haven't played anybody yet. Sure, that means they haven't proven anything, but at the same time, it means they haven't been disproven. So, isn't it to be determined either way? I mean, like, yeah, it is to be determined, but you could obviously get a pretty good sense just by watching them, by grinding it up a little bit, seeing what it looks like.
Eric Collins was the play-by-play.
Eric Collins!
He was just.
I love analytics.
Purdue gets loose!
I love that.
So it was a crazy game, and the announcer was going crazy too. I highly recommend everybody watch it.
Nice. Was it like a Charlotte Bobcats or Charlotte Hornets game with those crazy people? You ever listen to those guys?
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
those guys are nuts.
And also, I don't know how Big and 60 fit all of that in 60 minutes.
We'll take a break and get to Allan Bell coming up on the other side. We'll transition to a little bit of NFL. First, before we do that, I have a little news for you. We have the women's AP Top 25.
Women?
Yes. Basketball.
Connor, what time do the girls play?
Well, we only know a few of those.
Okay.
All right. But Creighton is number 21.
Creighton?
Yep. And Nebraska is number 23. That's right, Jaskers. This one's for you. Come watch the women this year.
One team of the four not ranked.
Yeah, that's Josh's favorite Nebraska men's basketballers. That's for sure.
Just saying, these are facts, data points to consider.
Back with Allan Bell coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Points to consider.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Allan Bell, the AB3 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I love football. That's what Gus Johnson would probably say. And I think our next guest enjoys football as well. Is that true, Allan Bell? Is it true that you enjoy football?
Look, I'm not speaking to anybody without a lawyer present. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's good.
There we go.
I'm glad. Is there a reason why Aaron Rodgers is like the best Hail Mary guy of all time?
Well, he's got that down, doesn't he?
He
I
does.
mean, he does, man. And like, I don't know if anybody watched the Manning cast last night instead of like the normal broadcast.
I did not.
Belichick, yeah. So Belichick is on there every week now that they do it. Okay, for like the first half, and Belichick was talking about that specifically. He was like, "This guy's incredible," you know. And then 2 seconds later, he goes, "Here it is." It was amazing, man. It was awesome. And by the way, like Belichick is awesome on these Manning.
Yeah,
casts. Like,
he kind of is on TV. I've seen him a few times. He's pretty good.
He's pretty like I'm gonna say this. He's better than Peyton and Eli. Like I would watch Belichick alone. Honestly, man, like he's good, but Aaron Rodgers got it down. It's just incredible.
The two like grumpy coaches who nobody ever wanted to bother or was scared to bother, Belichick and Saban, turned out to be really, really good on TV. I don't know how that worked.
I know. I'll tell you the best part too is Belichick has like the snarkiness down because so Belichick does the first half and then the second half they have guests, okay? So Peyton tells Belichick in like the second quarter, he goes, "Hey, what do you think? We've got Jason Bateman in the third quarter. We have Rex Ryan in the fourth quarter." And obviously it was the Bills and the Jets. And Belichick wasted no time. He goes, "Oh, Rex would be a great guest. He lost to me with both of these teams."
Roasted.
It was hilarious. Like he wasted no time. I was like, "This dude's incredible."
Yeah, put him on TV. Let him say stuff. I'm down with that. Okay, so I don't know what the story of the weekend was in the NFL, but the story of the overreaction in the NFL is always the Dallas Cowboys. And so much of the conversation is revolving around them, and they got bludgeoned by Detroit over the weekend. Are they done? Is this core like, they're not going to win anything of substance this year, that's for sure. But are we approaching tear down and rebuild territory with them?
Well, okay. So the answer is yes and no. All right. So no, in the sense of, well, you just locked up your quarterback and wide receiver, right? So like they're not going anywhere. But the rebuild kind of has to already start because the problem with the team, everybody blames Mike McCarthy. And look, I'm not the biggest McCarthy guy in the world, but what the hell do you want him to do? You know what I mean? Like there's no run game. There's no way stopping the run. The defense is just destroyed. Mm-hmm. The OC from last year is gone. The DC from last year is gone. Right? Like a lot of this stuff is not him. It's Stephen Jones who's in charge of that. Right? So, I mean, I don't know. Like the NFL's tough, man. Like it's not college. It's not a one-man deal. You know what I mean? Like everybody has to be working together. And the Cowboys front office really just didn't do anything this offseason, and we're seeing.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Devonte Adams trade now that it's something that we kind of pinpointed immediately once it was pretty clear that Devonte Adams was going to be traded. He's going to the Jets, not a surprise to anybody. He goes there in interesting circumstances, given that they lost a big game last night and they fired their coach a few days ago. What's that situation as you tear it apart?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like, if they won last night, do they make this trade?
Yeah, apparently this was in the works. Like he was on the flight during the game. Like this was basically already agreed to. But I couldn't help but wonder the same thing. I don't know that they always are. We're going to need wide receiver help. There's no doubt about that. And the connection between Rodgers and Devonte Adams is always going to be there. But I wondered about the exact same thing.
Yeah, because it's like, I totally get it that, like, these things take time, right? So it makes sense that would already be in the works. But if you're going to fire your coach and do all that, like, you couldn't have done it a couple days sooner, and got him in, right? Like, I don't know. It'll help. Don't get me wrong. It'll help, but I mean, I just don't.
I don't see.
I don't know what to do with this team. Like, I don't trust the interim coach, Todd Downing. Don't even get me started on this guy. I mean, this is the guy that was the OC here with the Titans. You remember that they beat the Packers. He gets off the team plane, and gets a DUI. Like, that's this guy.
Tough look.
Like, it's a bad look, right? And it's like, he wasn't that good here in Tennessee to begin with. You know what I mean? So when they named him, the play call was like, oh, Lord, y'all got problems, man. I guess that's going to work. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good trade. It sounds good, but I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm not exactly sure what to make of that. It helps, because right now it's just Rodgers and amazingly Allen Lazard, who, like, I don't think Rodgers just throws it in his general vicinity, and Allen Lazard drops every other ball that has come from every other quarterback except for the ones that come from Aaron Rodgers' hands. It's really, truly amazing to me.
Yeah, and what it tells me is that Aaron Rodgers is kind of, veer off the playbook type of a guy, and Allen Lazard has got it down. He understands.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, he's going to throw this 3 yards short, Like, that's generally what that means. And everyone else is like, well, I ran the play, and, the ball didn't come to me. But Lazard is like, oh, no, you just have to know this dude. Like, it's going to be, you have to cut your yard, your route short, or, let it long.
If you get to pick, I'm going to give you the option. Now, you don't have this option in real life, fortunately, but in this scenario, you can only watch one of these 3 games. Okay. Which one are you watching this weekend? Chiefs, Niners, Lions, Vikings, or Texans, Packers?
Ooh. All right. So it's going to be between the first 2. I'll say Chiefs, Niners, but my gosh, like, Lions Vikings is good too. I want to watch that one, but I'll go with Chiefs Niners because I don't know what San Francisco is going to try to plan out, but apparently whatever you plan out against Kansas City, it ain't going to work. Like, these dudes just haven't figured out. So I'll go with the Chiefs. But dang, man, that line, and not that the Texans Packers is bad either.
I'm saying, man, like, that is that is some excellent quarterback play that's happening in that game. Like, I'm going to be pretty locked into that one, I think.
It's funny. I said on our show yesterday, I'm driving the line. I was like, the Texans are going to make the playoffs. I was like, but here in the AFC South, like, just take a playoff like spot and give it to the NFC North, please. Like, they deserve it. Like, as many as we can get. Put one of them in the AFC for the playoffs. I don't care. Like, just put one of them there. Like, there's going to be a team left out, because there's so many good teams that it's going to stink, and you're going to have, like, the Texans are really good, but then you're going to have, like, a Colts or something. You're like, what are we watching?
Yep.
Even though Flacco's awesome, I do enjoy watching him.
Are you a Bears speaking of the NFC North? Are you a Bears believer right now?
Yeah, they're getting better. I am, man. Like, they're getting better. I like it. Caleb Williams looks good. The offensive line's playing better. The offense is balanced. Like, I am. Like, they're a good football team, man, and they're getting better by the week. And, it's a pretty young team, too. And they're kind of doing what the Texans did last year. Like, they're just kind of figuring it out week by week. And you could see it. Like, it's tangible, man. So, yeah, I'm in. I enjoy all 4 of these teams in the division. A lot of fun.
They were definitely a good watch on Sunday morning, and I do enjoy the London games. I can't lie, even though they all featured the Jaguars. I enjoy waking up at whatever 8:30 or 9:30, and it's just on, and it leads me right into the rest of the day. It's great.
It is. It's nice. I know. Like, I know that we have the college football, the Ireland game, but, like, we need to figure out another one to where we have, like, just a random game. Like, here's Nebraska and Tennessee live from Baghdad at 9:30 in the morning or whatever. Like, yeah, like, it'd be awesome. You're like, dude, I'm getting up for this. This is going to be great,
Yeah. Just start one a little bit earlier than the rest of them and have it lead it right in. All right, AB. Appreciate it as always, my friend. Great to chat, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, looking forward to it, boys. Y'all be good, man. Take care.
Allan Bell, Driving the Line podcast. Every day. Talking about the stuff that's going on in sports. Didn't even ask about baseball either. We'll have NFL reaction later, a little bit later on. We'll ask, the writers will ask about some of those very same topics. But yeah, I am a little fired up for that Packers-Texans situation.
I was talking.
Coach just throwing balls up into the sky and hoping that they come down in their receivers' hands.
Was talking with someone in the building earlier and talked about just how impressive the NFC North is.
It's a heck of a division.
Yeah.
If you believe in all of its teams.
If you believe in all of its, it sounds like.
Do you believe in all of its teams?
I believe in certainly one.
I believe in one. I believe in two.
Ooh, two.
I believe in 2.5.
That number keeps growing, Connor.
I don't know. Maybe
I get you to 3?
On the aggregate, maybe. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on
4
in the show. Also, Josh's bottom 5 NFL teams.
That's right. It's coming together nicely.
He's definitely been thought of, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we've been in the lab tinkering.
All right, good. Jacob Bigelow will still join the show at 1:00. We'll be back with the odd news next on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Oddson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, The Odd News with Oddson. Odd News, Oddson. See what we did there? The Odd News with Oddson.
Couple things here. Today is Cam Taylor-Britt's birthday.
CTB.
Happy birthday, Cam.
Friend of the show.
Him and Wandale Robinson posed for a picture after they played on Sunday Night Football the other night.
Jersey swap.
Yep, they did a jersey swap.
Okay.
Yep. And
I love
today
that.
is Cam Juice's birthday. Happy birthday, Cam Juice. Remember he was one of the original, remember when we thought NIL was going to be logos? Remember when they were all making logos for the players?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. It was a long time ago, Jack.
Recently graduated. CTB.
That's right. That's right. ESPN PR would like us to know some more things.
Oh, okay.
College Game Day had its best October episode since 2009.
Best October episode.
On pace for its best season ever, averaging over 2 million viewers an episode. 2.3 million viewers is up 8% over last year's week 7, and it peaked in the final hour with 3.5 million viewers. College football's #1 pregame show is back, folks, and it is College Game Day, not whatever's going on Fox.
I know we brought it up yesterday, talked about it a lot with John and the crossover. That show is back.
That show is so back.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad to see it I'm glad to see other people watching it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? What did you think of Kirk Herbstreit? So they finally made a bit out of Kirk Herbstreit not being in the same place for more than 10 seconds.
I'm shocked that they don't do this every week, whether they have to
Me
or
too.
not. Just do the bit.
So he had to leave game day early, and then he did some of the show from a convertible.
Driving to the airport.
Yeah. Where he had to go and do the Red River.
Yeah. And he got there about 45 minutes before kickoff.
What a life.
And
what a life.
That bit works because Pat McAfee marvels at it.
Yeah.
It just, oh my gosh, you're
in a car.
You're convertible.
Yeah. We love a sense of wonder, Josh.
Yeah.
As we always say. All right. What do we got on the odd news today?
We like to cover podcasts and,
we love to check in on what's going on in the pods.
The take market. We don't often check in with ex-wife of Jay Cutler, Kristen Cavalieri.
Oh yeah. She got so hold on. She got a new boyfriend.
Oh.
But they broke up.
Oh, sad. So she's single?
I think so.
Interesting. Connor, there's a beloved former employee of this radio station who may or may not be listening right now who was dabbled in conspiracy theories, if you remember.
Many have, Josh.
Try this one on for size. Kristen Cavalieri is sharing her unfiltered opinion about Kanye West's dramatic transformation as of late.
Dramatic transformation as of late?
Yes.
What's Kanye been up to?
I believe as of late refers to the last 5 years.
You mean when he got canceled because he said some very anti-Semitic things?
Yes.
Okay.
When his actions spurned America? Yes.
Got it.
The reality TV star took a break from talking about her personal life to touch on a conspiracy on her Let's Be Honest podcast. That's the name of the podcast. Confessing her belief that the music mogul has been replaced by a clone.
Oh.
Initially, your thoughts before I give you any evidence, yes or no?
I'd like to hear some evidence first.
Okay. Kristen cited a past interview with Kanye. I'm going to call him Kanye. I don't care what he wants you to call him. As her evidence, in which the rapper claimed if he ever disappeared and reappeared acting differently, it wouldn't really be him.
Okay.
She continued,
I think I've heard enough.
Look at him. Compare the old photos of him. It's not the same bleeping person. It's not. Don't cancel me, Hollywood.
Okay. So the evidence is that she thinks he looks different.
She thinks he looks different. And Kanye said, hey, if I ever mysteriously disappear and then reappear, it's not me who reappeared. It's a different person.
Got you. No, I think that's him. I think he just has
now
changed maybe a
okay.
little bit.
I like that you've said the things you've said because those are similar to the things that Kristen's co-host Justin Anderson, very generic name, said like in response to her, like, "Hey, I don't think that's him. I think he just went away to gain weight." That's his quote, not mine. And Kristen doubled down on her belief, suggesting secret groups like the Illuminati will kill those who speak the truth. She said her dismount on this was, quote, "I believe this with every ounce in my body."
Okay. So I love when people believe stuff. I do. I do. I love that. And hell, maybe it's all true.
Maybe.
But here's the thing, I don't care enough. Like, do you actually care if Avril Lavigne died a long time ago and it's now fake Avril Lavigne?
No,
I don't either.
Because I don't see the resurfaced Avril Lavigne all that much anyway.
Same. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care if Tupac's in Italy because of the waterways
with Kobe? I would like to know, but I don't really care.
Yeah. Doesn't make a difference
right.
to me.
I have an inquiring mind. I'd like to know, but yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Nah. Okay. So we move on.
Yes, we do.
We talk a lot about world records in the odd news, and this might be the silliest one yet. 507 people gathered in Japan to point into the air for 30 seconds.
Oh.
In unison. That is an official Guinness World Record. It is the largest group of people pointing up in the air at the same time. So
I'd like to see a picture of this.
I would too. President C, if you're listening, seems pretty easy to break this record of 507 people at Werner Park next season.
How many?
507. That's it.
Look at that. In Mito, Japan. I want to see a picture. Oh, there they are. All the people just going like this, pointing up into the sky.
Literally nothing to it, just pointing up to the sky. Wow. 507 people.
Okay. Yeah, we could. This is one that I think we can knock out.
Mm-hmm. This isn't Connor thinks he could land a plane. This is very easy. We could do it, and probably should, because it's just that easy.
When the official Guinness World Record certifier announced that the record had been achieved, the participants cheered and applauded.
Yay, we did it.
An 11-year-old fifth grader from Tokyo said, "It was fun to get together and do the same pose. I'm happy to be able to boast to my friends about the record achievement."
Oh, I love boasting.
Yep. This year marked the second edition of the event held by the General Incorporated Association of Corporate Managers for the Ibaraki Revitalization. It also included a tea ceremony experience and a viewing of Kagura Shinto dance performance in the center of the city.
Is that Shen Yun that comes to town all the time?
I don't know.
I hear it's fabulous.
I have heard the same.
And finally, how about a little Russian politics on your Tuesday afternoon?
Perfect.
Vladimir Putin may want to have a little chat with one of his fellow Russian politicians and discuss personal hygiene, as a video showed a regional governor, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name, surveying a rural area ravaged by forest fires. You know, the government comes out, takes a look at the damage for the photos. While scanning the damaged land, he nonchalantly shoved his finger up his nose and pulled out a booger. That's actually not the gross part. It follows as the governor proceeded to casually wipe it on the jacket of forestry chief Elena Shalapyana.
That's tough.
Who was holding a clipboard and briefing the media on the event.
You're just going to want to hold that booger for a little while.
Maybe just flick it away as well.
Or just don't pick it out. I mean, just
great.
You're going to have to just live with it.
That would be the ideal. If you could do that, if you could just refrain from picking your nose on camera.
Yep.
That'd be great.
I never understand the people, because you still see it. And it's still disgusting every time.
All the time.
They pick their boogers out of their nose in public. And And then what they do with the boogers most of the time is even more abhorrent.
Right. Generally, that's where the blowback. Generally, did you see this comes from what they did after they
I can't believe the people who eat their boogers.
Wild.
Chase Daniel?
That happened. Legend at the bank, Chase Daniel.
Ate its own booger.
Yeah.
On national television. Everybody watched it.
It happens a lot on the sidelines.
It's amazing. That would be at least the 50th thing that I would do with my booger if I had it. Flick it.
Hey,
I don't care where it goes.
Look at this, guys.
Rub it on somebody, just dispose of it in some type of way. Put it anywhere else. Eat it. It's the last place you want it to be. There's endless other places.
Get an Uncrustable if you're hungry.
Yeah, I don't think it's about hunger, right? It can't be about that.
It's
just got to be about like
you don't want. I don't want to litter.
Like when you eat trash off of would you eat trash off of the floor? So you picked
I would not.
You picked a thing of trash up. You just put it in your mouth. That's basically what you're doing with that booger. Just find a different place to put it. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's the odd news. Certainly was. We'll come back. I have a couple of clips from Matt Rule that I'd like to share with you all from yesterday's press conference.
Interesting.
About the Big Ten and how, yesterday's press conference, we had a lot of interesting notes yesterday. Anime, foot cramps. There was a couple other ones that I had in here too. Falling asleep in his office. That was a good one.
Yeah, he does that.
Dylan Raiola woke him up. Yeah, we got to watch that. So, wanted to come from Matt Rule. When we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
from Huskers practice today. Ty Robinson was asked about the mentality and the mantra of the defense when opposing teams get in the red zone. And he says, quote, they don't get in. Plain and simple.
Whoa.
We don't allow them to get in.
Well, great.
If you're going to score a touchdown, you better score it from 50 yards out.
That's right. Big play us to death.
Yeah. But Nebraska's defense is kind of built to not have those things happen to them. So that's good.
Haven't allowed a rushing touchdown yet.
Charles writes in, can we get a 50 things Happer would do with a booger countdown?
Ooh.
You know, as I said that, I thought, I don't think that I could come up with 50 things that I would do. Because there would just be so much easier options like at the first two. Just
why would you go any further?
Get rid of it. I don't know. Put it back up your nose. I don't know.
Oh.
But whatever the list is, however long the list is, eating it would be dead last. I can pretty much guarantee that. All right, let's go back to yesterday's practice or yesterday's press conference. Anyway, I just thought this was really notable talking about it was talking about sort of like the offenses that Nebraska has played and they've played against, they practice against every single day. And Rule says, hey, there's something to being hardened by the physicality of what we do in practice every day. He wasn't talking about Indiana. He wasn't mentioning anybody specifically, but I don't know. Listen to this and tell me what you think.
There's not many teams that have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. Indiana does. And because I believe if your defense, all they do is defend the spread all day, every day in practice, when you face a tough team, and make no mistake now, Rutgers, Greg Schiano, Brett Bielema, those are tough people. And those are tough. We faced 3 straight teams with a defensive coordinator as a head coach. Like, you know, they're going to run the ball and they're going to grind you and you're going to be physical. But if your defense never sees it till game day or with the scout team, it's really hard to be a physical defense, right? So I feel bad for some of these guys, these defensive coordinators. They go play for an offensive head coach who's a play caller, and some guys can do it. And they get fired. And everyone's like, he can't coach. Well, you're not getting hardened, right? You're not getting. If you play in this program, you know, we might not ever be, you know, top 10 in passing, you know, like, but we're going to run power and we're going to run duo and we're going to run counter, and you're going to see those things in practice. And so when you get to the game, it's never really a shock. And so. But yes, to your point, I think one of our major emphases this, you know, moving forward is just getting a little bit better in the run game. You know, fixing some of those things on special teams. We're making a lot of good plays on special teams, but the catastrophic plays are killing us. And you know, trying to fix 1 or 2 of those things and see if we can be a better team. That's Matt Rule.
He was originally asked about sort of the run game, and he started off on this whole thing about how, yeah, I took a deep dive into the run game, and then he got off on that tangent. I don't know. I wonder. He mentioned right at the beginning, Indiana's got a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense, but it's not like they're going up against this physical operation. You know what I mean? So I think there's something there to where Nebraska might kind of surprise them a little bit. They're going to give them a little bit of a punch. Northwestern was, you know, that's a physical team just from reputation standpoint.
Travis asks an interesting question.
Hi, Travis, with an interesting question. Travis with the good question.
Do we think that was a bit of a dig at Lincoln Riley trying to go after White?
Yeah, so I think so that is a good question. And here's the follow-up to it. He was asked, you know, about and I don't think these answers had anything to do with each other, but they're just answers that made sense together. So I'm going to put them together here on the show. And he was asked sort of about the Big Ten and the grind. And I think there's a thought buried in there too that has to do with the previous one. Here's Matt Rule on the conference and what it might look like going forward.
You know, you put the travel in. I mean, I talked a lot about the travel, and everyone kind of like, I think like, oh, I got you, Matt. Like the travel, the weather, like that was hard to throw the ball last week against Rutgers. That was 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts, at least is what it said. You know, it was hard. I think you're going to see a lot of unpredictability. It's like the NFL, right? You never know in the NFL who's a good year in college football moving forward is going to be like 8-4, 9-3. It's just what it is. It's why, you know, there's a lot of teams that do really well, but they're not playing who we're playing. It's just a different league, right? And the Big Ten and the SEC they've just evolved, right? And then, so You look at the statistics on traveling, multiple time zones, what that's doing to teams. I mean, I just think it's all really interesting. It's all about how healthy you are. There's not as many, take the game off games. You have to be ready to play every week, and people are battling. And again, now teams are losing on the last play of the game, right? I mean, Illinois has done a great job. Brett's done a great job. They won 2 games in overtime, right? I mean, it's just kind of what the Big Ten's going to be, I think, moving forward. It's going to be like the NFL.
Some of the conference's best teams are going to be a little bit closer to 8-4 or 9-3 than there are 11-1 is pretty interesting to me. But I think
seems like it's trending that way.
Yeah, and I think it's probably true.
I hadn't thought of that.
Might start this year. Might not look great for the conference, but you could say at the end of the year, well, we lost to this team by 1 point. We played this team and this team and this team and this team back to back to back to back. And I think that was sort of the main thing that he was trying to get after. And Nebraska learned this lesson the hard way for more than a decade. It was, Nebraska's joining the Big Ten. I don't see any problem with them beating Northwestern as a one-off. I don't see that. By the way, they lost Northwestern in their first year at home. Shout out to Kane Coulter. I don't see any problems with beating Iowa as a one-off. I don't see any problem with beating whatever as a one-off. But then you play them week after week after week, and it's physical, and it beats you the heck up. And all of a sudden, you look up and you're USC, and you're 3-3, and you're like, I don't think we're that bad. But we lost to Michigan by 30. We lost to Minnesota on a last-second play basically, and we lost to Penn State in overtime by 3. So are they that bad? No. But they might be looking at themselves and it might be a little bit confused. And then in the middle of the season, now we have all these, transfer portal things and redshirt, opportunities that guys can take. And you might look at yourself and say, well, our season is lost. So there has to be a top to bottom. I think what Rule is saying here is there has to be like a top to bottom adjustment, fans, coaches, players, everybody, to where if you don't go 11-1, or if you don't go 12-0, like it's not, if you take your second loss, their third loss of the season in the middle of October instead of when you normally would in the middle of November or never, that might not be the worst thing in the world. You just have to stay the course. Stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. And so teams who understand that and that understand that every game is its own individual thing. He also mentioned in there, I thought that was interesting too, about because I know that he knows that Nebraska's fans were freaking out over the weekend after they saw Wisconsin beat Rutgers 42-7. And they thought, what the hell is going on? Do we suck?
Oh.
Do we suck? We barely beat this team. We were lucky to beat this team.
Did Wisconsin figure it out?
And he also mentioned, hey, it was 50-mile-an-hour winds, guys. It was hard to throw. It was difficult to, that might sound like an excuse, but in reality, that's what he's searching for. That's what he's trying to tell you. Every game presents its own unique challenges. And if you feel like you were equipped to answer all of those challenges with a response of your own, then you're going to have a good chance to win a game, because he knows as well as anybody, and maybe this is something that USC doesn't know yet. This is something that, Washington doesn't know yet, or whatever. It's going to come down to one or two things at the end of the game. You have to get yourself in position to be there, first of all, and then you have to get yourself in position to be able to answer those questions in an affirmative manner for your team when you do get there. So I think like Travis writes in on the YouTube right now, he says you could see the grind affecting them in game, especially the Michigan and Penn State game where they had sizable leads. USC, yeah. And I thought they were going to run away and hide from Penn State for a second.
Yep. And then
same thing with Michigan.
Yep. Just slipped away. And I thought it was interesting the way Sammy talked about
Sammy.
How Indiana practiced in the offseason. They didn't practice tackling. And I kind of perked up. I was like, oh, Matt Rule always talks about
how important it is to practice tackling.
Yeah, to get better at tackling, you have to actually tackle.
Christian Montana writes in on the text line, Says, one way to neutralize poor weather in physical football is competent special teams. Now, that is true. I'm not trying to make it out like Nebraska has all the answers.
Still a huge glaring chasm in Nebraska's game.
Big concern.
Mhm.
Once again, to go back to my topic from a few weeks ago that I brought to you guys, this math equation doesn't necessarily work with a gaping hole in your special teams. So you got to make that work for you a little bit, or at the very least, not have it hurt you so badly. Josh, speaking of the Big Ten and especially what we experienced this past weekend.
Oh, we love the Big Ten.
Let's go to Dan Lanning. Let's say hello to Dan Lanning.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, Dan. There's a clip in here, Josh, in the rundown. Dan, did you really put 12 people on the field in the second to last play of the game and expose a loophole that is now apparently wanting to be changed by everybody? NCAA rulemakers are very, very mad about this. We'll hear from Dan Lanning first, and then we'll discuss the rule itself. Hi, Dan. What's going on?
It wasn't one-on-one. We actually had a safety on top. So there was so it's called dog. It's when you play, but he wasn't in extremely tight coverage, but he was in dog coverage where he had safety on top of him. And there was a timeout before that. We spent an inordinate amount of time on situations. There's some situations that don't show up very often in college football, but this is one that obviously was something that we have worked on. So you can see the result.
Think about the specific, how specific that situation is, right? Because if they like
hyper specific,
there has to be the exact right amount of time left.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the exact correct lead, and it has to be on the right yard line. The other team has to have a certain amount of timeout. It's like all of that stuff factored into this exact situation being born on Saturday night, in which, once again, Oregon put 12 people on the field in their second to last play of the game to prevent a longer play from happening. And then you take the 5 yards, the time comes off the clock.
It's like a 4 second.
It was 10-4. Yeah. It was 10-6 rather.
Yeah. If it's a defensive 12 men or something like that. Yeah.
Here's rules official Terry McCauley this morning. So Pete Thamel did a tweet. He says, a grinning Dan Lanning confirms that Oregon put 12 men on the field.
That's what I was going to comment on.
He was smiling.
How big the smirk was.
Yeah.
Some people would call it a bleep-eating grin.
Yeah. A grinning Dan Lanning confirms that Oregon put 12 on the field on purpose late in the game against Ohio State. He notes they worked on situational football for rare situations. And as you heard in the quote, this was obviously something we had worked on, so you could see the result. Terry McCauley has a comment on that. He is the NBC rules official. I think that's right.
According to his Twitter bio, he's a 70s music fanatic.
Yeah, I knew that.
Rescue dog lover and foodie.
Terry McCauley, I'm pretty sure he's the NBC rules official that they bring in. He says NCAA rules makers set themselves up for this a few years ago when they unnecessarily changed the rule to make 12 men on the field on defense always a live ball foul. Previously, this play would have been a dead ball foul with no time coming off the clock. I felt like that was the case, and I'm glad to hear Terry McCauley say it. I didn't know they changed the rule, but I felt like it used to be a play where it's like, okay, no play, dead ball. So in that case, it would have been a 5-yard penalty and keep the 10 seconds on the clock. In that case, obviously, you wouldn't have put the 12th man on the field if you were Oregon, because you don't want him to get a dead ball foul that moves you up 5 yards and it keeps the time the way it is. But if it's a live ball foul, I was talking about this with one of my friends after it happened on Saturday night. So it was like, well, this is how it works in the rest of the game, right? If there is a holding after a 30-yard touchdown run and the clock's at 11:56 on it, and at the end of the run the clock's at 11:42 on it, they don't reset the clock to 11:56 after the holding penalty.
Right.
They just go from 11:42. Right? That'd be a long touchdown run. That'd be like
that's a very slow man was ran for a touchdown.
Yeah, the play took that much time. But they don't reset the clock, right? Just as they don't in this situation. So it's taking advantage of a rule, and really just a loophole in a rule, and a very, very specific situation. I think that's the thing to point out the most here.
Hyper specific.
Yeah.
Like,
great job. I mean, that just shows how good of a coach Dan Lanning is.
and
that
how
guy is
on
a
the
freak.
spectrum Dan Lanning must be.
Yeah.
I don't say that
Interesting.
as an insult.
Yeah.
Just to hyper focus on something like that and be like, you know what we need to do, guys? You know what we need to prep for?
Right.
This.
Now, the obvious downside, no, you don't do it. You don't do it with 6 left, because if the clock runs out, if the clock goes to 0 and you have 12 on the field, then you get a free play. Right.
And he didn't.
So you
want
can
that.
only do it exactly when they did it.
Yeah.
Which is still amazing to me that they were prepared for that situation. Unbelievable. Or maybe they weren't, and the coaching staff was, or Dan was himself, because you could see up back on the replay, they just shoved the guy onto the field. Just go. Just make sure you don't. Just make sure you don't big up. You're only out here so you don't give up. And in fact, what happened is they had everybody stacked up to that side of the field. It just so happened to be the Oregon sideline, right? So the extra player coming onto the field doesn't have to run all the way across the field, make a scene, and then they blow the play dead anyway because the 12th person comes on the field, whatever it might be. And that just so happened to be the side of the field that Ohio State was stacked up to, forced the ball to the other side, incomplete pass. Like, I can't think of a time where that obscure of a rule was exposed and taken advantage of by a coach in that situation. I mean, that
This
is
some Bill
impressive.
Belichick stuff.
Yeah, that is really, really good.
And Ohio State only had the one timeout, so it's not like if they saw what was happening and like, something doesn't smell right here, let's take a timeout. Like they weren't going to do that. So Oregon laid a trap, and Ohio State kind of forced to walk into it. It doesn't seem
What are you
like they
supposed to
knew
do?
what was going on.
You should just go back to making it a dead ball foul.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know why that rule was
suspect
changed.
They will.
Something must have happened to make that a live ball foul. I don't know what we overreacted to at that point, but it certainly was an overreaction to something.
So Macaulay said something interesting in the comments. People were asking him follow-up questions about it.
Why was it changed in the first place?
And one of the answers he gave was this play would have been stopped.
Correct.
Pre-snap in the NFL.
Yeah, it's a dead ball. It's a dead ball foul. You go back, like, how much sense does that make for a penalty in the first place, right? You go back afterwards. You already know that they have 12 men on the field, and then you go back after the result of the play already happens and then call you have 12 men.
What would you like to do, Coach? Would you like to take they were cheating. Would you like to take the result of the play, or would you just like to do it again?
Adam writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, Adam.
I still don't understand how this move by Lanning to put 12 on the field was a great idea. Had Ohio State completed the pass, it was thrown into single coverage. They would have gotten 5 yards tacked onto the completion, and it would have been well within field goal range. It could have majorly backfired on Lanning. What you're trying to do is first of all, stop the big play from happening. Give yourself an advantage on that. But no doubt about it, it could have backfired. But it worked,
Oh, sure.
right?
Sure, yeah.
Right? It's just like going forward on 4th down. You know?
It worked.
This is a stupid idea, but it worked.
It worked.
Now,
Dan Lanning looks like a genius.
Was it a stupid idea? Maybe that's what Adam is trying to,
Mm-hmm.
like the question he's trying to ask. It wouldn't have even been an idea that would have crossed my mind. So I can't comment on whether it'd be a stupid idea because I wouldn't have explored that space in my brain.
Somebody would have asked you about it post-game. Like, any consideration to running a 12th man on the field just to get a couple extra seconds to tick off the clock, Connor?
What's that now?
Oh, you don't know?
I had not thought about that. No.
And then big duck overreaction would have been like, you believe our idiot coach?
Right. All right, let's come back. We got NFL reaction, overreaction on the other side. Let's see what the writers are up to. Also, want to remind you all that $25,000 4-quarter pick'em is open for you this week.
Some would say it's not a lot of money.
You should probably, yes, some people would. Some people would. But us normies down here, it is a lot of money. It's a lot of money to all of us, Josh. You could win it, or a portion of it, that is, every single week. Just as our winner did from this past week, Josh.
John No H.
John, no.
Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
It was Bob. Bob won.
Check out the big brain on Bob.
And Bob, he was asked at the end of his winnings, or maybe he was asked this during the process. I can't remember. What his favorite show in 1620 The Zone is. Bob answered the Connor Happer Show. Bob! GOAT. Our guy Bob is the winner.
My guy.
You could be our Bob next week. Head to 1620thezone.com. Get your picks in right now and do it fast because the person who makes it first is the tiebreaker. You don't want to run yourself into a bad situation there. Once again, 25K 4-quarter pick 'em. You could win $2,500 on our website, 1620thezone.com.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
The NFL trade deadline is not for another few weeks, but things are heating up, Josh. Devonte Adams was traded today to the New York Jets, reuniting old Mr. COVID toe and Devonte Adams.
I wonder what this means for Devonte Adams' health. Is that hamstring going to start feeling better?
I think you'll see a miraculous turnaround.
They got better doctors in New York than Vegas.
The Jets get Devonte Adams. The Raiders get back a conditional 3rd-round pick.
Oof.
It's been proven pretty much over and over again that if and I feel for Devonte because he did not sign up for this situation.
Right.
He signed up to be a Raider,
Yeah.
but it got real bad on him real fast.
Hey, come. Oh, yeah. No,
Everything
I
we
can
ever
play with that quarterback. Sure. Hey, I know you just got here. You're unpacking your boxes. Just want to let you know that quarterback is gone.
Everything we've ever heard about Devonte Adams, he's a really good teammate. And he didn't want it. I don't think he wanted it to come to this, but it kind of got to the point where it's like, hey, you guys better trade me. Otherwise, I'll just not play.
I'd rather sit here.
I always have that ability to just not play, given that I'm the football player. And he still can be a productive receiver, even though we haven't seen him be at his elite level in a couple years now. But he could still be like a top, 20, 25 wide receiver-ish in the NFL. Probably not one of the elite dudes anymore. So the Jets trade a 3rd-round pick to get him, and maybe it'll help Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he'll have that weird Alan Lazard connection with him too.
He does just seem to kind of. Okay, there the ball is. Find out how you can go get it.
There's one last night. I have no idea how he caught. I don't even think Alan Lazard was looking. And that wasn't even the Hail Mary. The Hail Mary was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers is very good at Hail Marys. He gets up there. He throws it so high. You just have to time it the right way. Okay, the writers have some takes for us. Josh, I don't know. Last week was not a great week for the writers.
They were off their game.
All right, so let's see if they rebounded here.
Take number 1. The Cowboys will not win anything of substance with their current core.
Yeah, I don't even think that this is really a question anymore.
I agree.
They're like the big topic of discussion today for them is like, is their Super Bowl window closed? I don't even know how we could talk about them in the realm of the Super Bowl. They haven't sniffed the Super Bowl with this core, and frankly, in a long time. But like, if we're talking about this, Dak and CD and, skinny Zeke, then fat Zeke, now old Zeke, like that kind of core, this time period that they're in right now, hasn't amounted to anything. And frankly, I didn't expect it to amount to much this year, but now people, I guess we're just now having this revelation that they're not very good and they stink, like almost like it's been kind of trending this way for a couple of years now. No, I don't think this group will win anything of substance. So no, I think that's an appropriate reaction.
I do agree with Allan earlier, radio replay 1620thezone.com if you missed it, that it depends on what you call it, core, but everything around Dak and CD is about to change over the next year or two.
Yeah. So do you still count it if it's Dak and CD?
Right. That'd be the only way you could.
I don't know, man. It's hard. It's they just when they've had these guys, they need to, obviously they've paid them. But they've been around for a long time. Like I think history, and this is anecdotally, I suppose, but like history would tell you that you're better off probably just ditching one of those guys and starting to build around one of them, or ditching them both and starting over completely.
Right.
So no, I don't think they're going to win much of anything.
Take number 2. Nobody can stop the Ravens run game.
Holy smokes. Nobody is strong, Josh, but my God, it's either Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson. Which one do you want to?
How do you want to die?
Everyone was saying that Derrick Henry was, is he old? Is he washed? He's a running back, right? He's gigantic. How could he keep up at the pace that he's kept up for the last several years?
I was told in 2015 that Nick Saban had run Derrick Henry into the ground and used him too much.
It's been almost 10 years since then.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry looks great. He's the leading rusher in the NFL. He's run for 700 yards. He's averaging 117 yards a game. He leads the NFL in touchdowns as well. He's got 8. Lamar Jackson is the 8th leading rusher in the NFL. He's also quite the passer. So they're able to use Lamar as an accent rather than the main piece of the running game.
Yep.
And wow, it is quite the sight to behold. I just, when you can do that against NFL teams, you're just saying, hey, look, we're going to run it and we're going to possess it as long as we want to. And they have pretty good weapons too. Like Zay Flowers is fast as hell. Mark Andrews turned into a left tackle briefly, but now he's kind of made a return a little bit. Bateman's all right. So like they have some guys around him. Like when you can say, hey, look, we can run the ball up and down the field on you guys, they're just tough to beat. I don't see what the answer to that is. If your game plan is to stop them on the ground, I don't know how you're going to get there. Seems hard.
Just in the back of my head, it's always going to be there until it's not. How is Baltimore going to Baltimore this up?
Sure. They can always screw it up themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That much is for sure. But when you have the attack, the type of attack that they do, it's going to be very hard to stop them. They might have to stop themselves for sure.
Take number 3. Drake May raises the Patriots' ceiling significantly.
Maybe, but I don't know to what.
Ooh.
I mean, he's good. He had a good game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Made some mistakes. He got crunched once or twice on the strip sack fumble.
Sure.
What
do you have? 3 touchdowns?
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Maybe he looked pretty good. It wasn't his first game action, but it was his first start, and that takes on a little bit of a different light.
He led the team in rushing. Look at that.
Yeah, he was all right. I kind of enjoyed watching the Patriots play for a little bit. And there's always that fresh energy when the new quarterback comes in.
Sure.
People like that.
Yeah.
That's why when you're such a bad team, you have to like really be careful with when you're going to push that button, because you only get to push it once.
You only get that bump once. You only get that jolt once.
And you have to hope that it spreads throughout the rest of the season, or you don't just use it all in the first game. So I don't think the Patriots are any good, and they won't be any good this year, Josh, but are they, what is that? Like, do they get to 5-13 or something like that? Maybe. Yeah. It raises their ceiling for sure.
I'm going to say overreaction because of the word significantly.
Okay.
Being in there, just bad.
He's significantly better. He makes him significantly more dynamic than a Jacoby Brisket did.
Sure. I mean, he ran for 38 yards. Let's not call him Lamar Jackson yet.
No, I mean, like, they are better.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank period.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're better with him at quarterback.
Take number 4.
Yep.
Same game. If the Texans wanted to, they could win their division at 9-8 or something.
Interesting choice, writers.
Really kind of trailed off there at the end, writers.
They're 5-1. Everybody else in their division is so bad.
Yes.
That'd be the AFC South with the Colts, Titans, and the Jags. The Jags are truly horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So are the Titans. The Colts are exactly what the Colts are basically every year.
Joe Flacco is going to have that team playing a significant Week 18 football game that may or may not get them in the playoffs, depending on the result.
But the Texans are actually good, so they're gonna run away with this thing. Mm-hmm. But if they wanted to just like get a 4-game lead and then just sit for a little while, they could probably do that.
Instead of resting everyone for Week 18,
the second
quarterback a week, running back another week, wide receiver another week.
Let's say this: the second place team in this division will not be any better than 8-9.
Seems fair,
right? And we're basically looking at the Colts, and there's no way, I mean, they're 3-3 right now. It's not like they're horrible, but
oddly enough, they have a point differential of 0.
Go Colts!
About as mid as you can get.
Yeah, Texans can. They're going to be the first team to clinch.
Mm-hmm. Take number 5. The Bears are a paper tiger.
Oh, I see. Are the writers zagging on all the Bears love this week?
I was told
they're
Caleb
figuring
Williams
it out.
Is figuring it out.
I enjoyed watching them play. It was a fun watch on Sunday morning.
Definitely.
They played the Jags.
That matters here.
So it does matter because here's the point. They're 4-2. They've beat the Titans, Rams, Panthers, and Jags.
Interesting. They are also last in the NFC North.
Yes.
They would
but we're not talking about where you stand in your division. We're talking about like how good are you, right? We don't have the answer to that yet. I also can't definitively say that they're a paper tiger either. I just am unsure. They're a lot like Indiana. The Bears are kind of like Indiana right now. They haven't really done anybody. They haven't played anybody. They have certainly gotten better. I'm not sure what to do with them.
At Washington, at Arizona the next 2 weeks.
Tricky. They have a bye this week.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, 10-27, sorry. Yeah, those are both interesting games.
Yeah, but it's not like their schedule is. I mean,
they have to play the NFC North.
They have to play in the NFC North, exactly. So they still have the Vikings twice, and they still have the Lions twice. But it's not like their schedule outside of that is. And they still have to play the Packers. But the Packers are good. Let's talk about the Packers right now. Let's talk about the Packers, Josh.
Okay, Jordan Love versus C.J. Stroud this weekend is appointment television.
This is one of my favorite games of the weekend. How could you not love this? You watch Jordan Love. It is one of the better watches in the NFL that we have.
I have heard this last game. I didn't watch it, but he finally looked 100%.
Stroud, great watch. The throws that he makes are incredible. Like this is
This is going to be our noon game, right here locally.
This is I haven't seen the maps.
Maps aren't out yet, but
okay. Yeah, it's
I'm looking at what
I would think so.
Oh yeah, CBS only has 3 noon games on.
And your other options are Bengals, Browns, Titans, Bills.
Go Titans.
Yeah, it's not going to be either of those. At least I hope. Dear God.
Right.
Yeah, so this will be the noon game that you'll get around here. This is appointment television. We complain about the dearth of quarterback play in this league right now and how we don't allow the quarterbacks to do anything. Here's a game that gives you exactly the opposite.
Great take.
These quarterbacks will just huck it down the field with their eyes closed. They're awesome. I love C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love. Jordan Love literally did that. He just threw it up into the sky and said, Romeo Dobbs, go grab it. And he did. And they scored a touchdown. He just threw it directly to the moon.
Love it when a plan comes together.
That's what Jaden Daniels did in that one game that we all fawned over him for. Like, this is great. This is excellent quarterback play. These two dudes are going to be slinging it around the yard at noon on Sunday. I'm in for this. This is a appointment television, appropriate reaction.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Thank you, Riders.
Thank you, Riders. Much better this week.
Nothing on Riders didn't have anything on Sirianni's haircut.
Or using his children as human shields in a press conference.
I don't think it worked though. I think
everyone saw right through it.
Yeah, those Philly guys, they'll just ask the question. And the kids, by the way, they're Philly kids too. The Philly kids laugh at the dad.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great things is you think your kids are up there to have your back. No, your kids actually want to see you suffer.
Also, if you're going to use your children as a human meat shield, maybe don't swear in front of them.
But they're from Philly, Josh.
Well, true.
Andrew says the Lions, Packers, and Bears have literally played no one yet. They're all paper tigers besides the Vikings.
Gonna guess which team Andrew roots for.
Interesting.
Definitely putting all of your chips in the Sam Darnold basket.
Everyone. So the NFC North is the best division in football, but they're all paper tigers. I love this take. I love this take. No, I actually quite like the Packers this year.
The Vikings have played a good schedule.
Yeah, they have. And obviously the Lions are throwing passes to the offensive linemen. They're nuts. They're crazy. They're biting people's kneecaps left and right. They're crazy.
Up like 30. They were up 30.
They threw another guy out there, and he just stood there like he was going to take a screen. They're insane. I love that team. Great division this year. All right, Josh, your bottom 5. Let's head to the other side. Who sucks? Find out next on 1620 The Zone. Let's find out who sucks in the NFL. Now, Josh, they're all NFL teams. They can't suck. Nobody in the NFL sucks. It's hard to win football games in the NFL. I heard that.
Agree with the last part.
Do they suck compared to, I don't know, like Incarnate Word?
I think these 5 teams could beat Incarnate Word, yes.
Interesting. So who you calling out?
I am going to call out 5
offensive
NFL teams as being the worst the league has to offer.
Gosh, come on. Take forever.
Number 5.
Number 5, probably just a 1-week stay here, but it's the Dallas Cowboys. You cannot lose the marquee 3:30 game by 38 points.
Yeah, but they got in the marquee 3:30 game. That's mostly based on reputation, I suppose.
Yes, I would say that's based on the work put in 30 years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, it is possible that these guys hang around here for a while. They actually might stink.
It is possible, yes.
I don't know why we're so fast to give them the benefit of the doubt on things when they haven't done anything of note.
I think it's because we like Dak Prescott. Not as like
we know Dak Prescott
as a human. Like as a human.
Yeah, he seems like a good. He seems like a good guy.
Seems like a good guy.
But they're not. I don't think they're good. I don't think their defense is good. They have one good wide receiver who I don't know if they like each other, the quarterback and the wide receiver. They have no running backs.
Three teams have walked into Jura World and walked out with a victory.
And now Jura is threatening to get a new radio network.
That's right. I hired you and I'll fire you if you keep asking me questions I don't like.
He was on 105.3 The Fan this morning, and he called them yahoos.
Oh, now you've gone and done it. Connor, their leading rusher had 25 yards on Saturday.
After making it clear there wouldn't be an in-season head coaching change, Jones began to bristle in response to questions about whether he has the right players for his team, given issues with execution. Quote, well, first of all, where are you going to go get any players? Jones said, seriously, where are you going to go get any players for next week against San Francisco? Then he started to get upset.
Aren't you the GM?
He started to get upset. I think the counter back when you said, where are you going to get the players? You can't get them this week is you're aware of all the offseason topics. But what is your counter? Jerry said, interrupting Sean Sharif, the host of the show. What is your damn counter? He said.
What a great pivot of, hey, your roster sucks. Well, that's really an off-season issue. What
you
about,
made it.
What about now?
You did that. Listen. So here's the good one. Wow, there's a lot. Gosh, I want to read this whole thing, but I feel like it's too many words. Listen, let me tell you what I'll do. Let me tell you what I'll do about it. I will let us sit down and look at the decisions we made over the last several years, okay? I'll look at it. Now, if you think I'm interested on a damn phone call with you over the radio and sitting here and throwing all the good out with the dishwasher, you've got to be smoking something over there this morning.
It's not how that phrase goes.
Good out with the dishwasher, yeah. And I really don't. I don't even want our listeners listening to me talk about this is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over the reasons I did something, and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job. That's not your job, or I'll get somebody else to ask these questions, Ben. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Wow. That's a hell of a quote.
Woof.
A lot going on there.
Move them higher, Josh. Move them higher.
Okay, maybe this is not a 1 week thing for the Dallas
Why
Cowboys.
is my camera like this?
I don't know. It's like you put Vaseline all over it.
Oh.
Focus.
Number 4.
Yeah, or just sit closer to it, whichever you prefer. Number 4, the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis leads the league in interceptions.
Oh, they should be number 1. These guys.
No, you'll find out that they're not. Here's the annoying part
The
about
Panthers
the
are going to be there all year long. I say that we just retire the Panthers from the list. Just take them off. It's no fun if they're on there.
Like
they're
when-
obviously the number one team.
Like when TRL retired music videos because they would just always be at number one.
Yeah, or like, we got sick of Alabama and we made Nick Saban quit.
Facts.
Oh, I think I'm back.
Here's the annoying part about the Titans is that they have a decent enough defense that they're going to hang in a lot of games and not get blown out every week.
I do love some Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I know it was the Colts, but when you're a bottom 5 team in the league, you'll take any win you can get. They were right there at the end. Right there.
Yeah, they stink, Josh.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know that.
I do.
There's the other problem with this list. Everybody else is just going to be here for the foreseeable future.
A lot of people just starting to sit in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Combination of 3 and 5.
Number 3.
All right, so
hey, it's Will Ferrell.
Let's see.
Okay. I think this is kind of a surprise.
Okay.
This team at number 3.
So I know the Panthers are still coming.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Jags are still coming.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
But who's the 3? We've already talked about the Cowboys and the who?
Tennessee Titans.
All right.
Just did that one.
I think you're going Browns here.
The Carolina Panthers.
Oh, whoa.
They're moving up the list.
Good job.
Because as bad as they are, they're just bad from a football standpoint. I understand their owner kind of sucks.
They're pretty much a disaster. Yeah.
But they're not a loud, dysfunctional organization.
That's true. They are. Everyone already knew that they were going to suck, so they could do it in relative anonymity.
Right. They are last in the league in points allowed. Excuse me. Yeah. Worst point differential in the NFL, minus 100. That's 35 points worse than the next worst team.
They have very little past. Mm-hmm. They have no present. They have no future.
Jake Delhomme was fun, right?
Very little past.
Remember Kerry Collins?
Oh, I remember Steve Smith.
That's right. Senior.
Steve Smith was awesome. All right, cool. Nice job. Go Panthers.
Go Panthers.
Here comes 2. Number 2.
Last week's number 1 team, the Cleveland Browns, are number 2 this week.
I got the right 3.
Yeah.
I just mixed up the order.
Did they get better? No, not really. They lost to crazy person, Nick Sirianni. They're 30th in the league in passing and points per game.
Oh, and when you watch them, you believe it.
They are
dysfunctional. It's Deshaun Watson. So Bill Barnwell did a whole deep dive today on ESPN.com about here's why he's so bad. And it's basically everything.
Okay.
But it doesn't get to the real key of the story, which is how he went from being one of the best quarterbacks in the league to now literally unplayable. And now, obviously, he's hated by all of his teammates. That could be a variety of different things here as well. But mostly, you could be a bad guy and be good at football, and your teammates will support you.
Yes.
He sucks.
He sucks.
He sucks really, really, really
sucks
bad.
On and off the field.
Yeah.
It's almost like, and follow me on this.
Every time I watch their games, he's getting sacked.
31 times, most in the league.
He's throwing it late. Mm-hmm. He's throwing it off the mark. He's easy completions. It just makes no sense to me that this guy was the guy 4 years ago. It makes no sense. It's not the same guy.
If I presented you with the following theory, let me know what you think. Hi, my name is Deshaun Watson. I have not played football in a year and a half. I would like a lot of money guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that money.
I'd like to say
I'm now going to cruise for the rest of my life because I know what a dirtbag I am. And as soon as the world finds out what kind of a dirtbag I am, it's over.
Okay. I hear that, Josh.
Okay.
And I understand that. But if you are a football player, there's some sort of competitive spirit that lives inside of you.
I would think so.
You can't tell me that this guy is tanking his career on purpose. Just that can't. Now, is it is it possible, and I think likely this is it, that he is not probably trying as hard as he used to, not physically like in the games, but you could tell when he goes to the bench, he just sits there.
I'd be curious
He
if
just sits there by himself after he's made some sort of catastrophic mistake yet again for the 1 millionth time in a row. Just watch him. He goes, sits down on the bench, and he just sits there, expressionless.
Puts that snow cap on.
He doesn't
and
watch
just
the.
sits-
He doesn't watch the iPad. He doesn't throw anything. He just sits there, and nobody comes up to him and says, "You're fine, Deshaun. You did great." He just sits there.
I think everybody who in Cleveland right now in 5 years is going to talk about this time in Cleveland.
There's going to be a book.
Cue up the Johnny Manziel. We gave him an iPad and tested him to see if he ever turned it on and did not turn it on story.
Probably.
Word for word.
Probably.
Yeah. Sure seems that way.
Yeah, this
right?
group sucks. And the funny thing is, I actually don't think the roster is that bad.
Exactly.
But they got a quarterback who's tanking them.
But they don't suck the most.
No, they do not.
They don't.
Make it so, number one.
Number 1.
Speaking of guys who we used to think were good.
You could be going anywhere with this.
Well, I mean, Josh, tell us who number 1 is.
Oh, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That'd be Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
What's his deal?
I don't know. Might not be working out for him. And here's the bright side, though. It's going to get worse before it gets better because after who they play, the Patriots this week in London. Yeah, maybe they win that game. Maybe they don't. It doesn't matter because the second that plane touches down in Jacksonville, Doug Peterson will be given his walking papers.
You're fired.
And told, we've put all your stuff in this box. You can go now. And they're last place in the worst division in the NFL.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that they don't seem to actually be that, like, you get a real magnifying glass to these things in the NFL when everyone is about the same from a talent perspective. Like,
right.
At least the spectrum is a little bit like tighter, right, than it would be in college football. But what's magnified is like your scheme, your togetherness, and your coach. Your coach, basically. Like, how do you play on any given week? And it just seems that all of the dumbest, weirdest stuff always happens to them. And I've made this point before. That was always the case. That was always Nebraska fans' excuse when Scott Frost was the coach. Why does all this dumb, stupid, weird stuff happen to us? Well, maybe it's because you don't deserve to be in a position where good things happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is them.
I don't know what not listening to your coach looks like on the football field, but if I had to venture a guess, I would say it looks like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. Or thereabouts.
They made the Bears look really, really good on Sunday.
Yeah, maybe the Bears are okay.
I don't know.
Maybe the Bears are okay.
Who could guess? Not me.
Trevor, from a statistical standpoint, not horrible.
Right.
But you watch him and anecdotally it's like, well, he should have made that throw.
And also he's been in this league for 5 years now. Seems like 5.
I don't think that long.
It
but
could be
maybe,
3.
Yeah.
But should have taken a jump or a leap by now, whatever you want to call it. And boy, it sure seems like he's regressing. Remember that playoff game?
I do. This is Trevor Lawrence's 5th season, Josh. No, this is his 4th season. Sorry.
Thought I knew
Wrong.
ball.
Idiot.
I don't know ball. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, audience. Thank you, Connor.
Those are the worst 5 teams in the NFL. We will be back. Jacob Bigelow will join us on the other side. All right. So there was a scrimmage at the Devaney Center.
Big scrimmage overreaction.
Who's got takes? I wonder. We'll talk to him coming up on 1620 The Zone.
That's the country song, right? Remember when?
Thank you. Jacob Bigelow.
Yeah. Whenever my open is concocted, throw that in there.
He's on fire! Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, on the Connor Happer Show, on 1620, The Zone. Boom shakalaka!
All right, last night in the NFL, we had Bills and Jets. That is Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen. Let's speak to a Chiefs fan about his thoughts on watching those two quarterbacks go against each other. Jacob Bigelow joins us now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Hi, Jacob.
Big meteor.
Huge meteor. That is as big meteor game as it gets for you, maybe?
That's the real big meteor game of the week. I know that's gonna be more talked about toward the end of the week. But as the world's most rational Chiefs fan, as you've declared previously, last night was definitely a big meteor matchup for me, and it was a beautiful disaster. As
it really was.
God intended.
The game didn't get outright canceled or anything like that, but it kind of did work out from a big meteor perspective. Nothing really looked good, especially field goal kicking in that game, and a team did have to win, unfortunately, and that was the Bills.
Yes, the team did have to win, and then Devonte Adams was just at Aaron Rodgers' house this morning during his appearance on the Pat McAfee show.
Normal.
Just in time for that trade to go through, so the Jets can fight, scrap, and claw their way to an 8-9 season. I'm looking forward to it.
Can't wait. Cannot wait. Jacob Bigelow is with us, Huskers Illustrated, and the Stretch Big podcast. All right, Jacob. So big scrimmage overreaction from being back at the Bob on Sunday to watching the white team and the red team just chop it up for a little while. What'd you take away?
One team was a big scrimmage overreaction, funny enough, is the title of the next podcast episode I'll be dropping. But
nice.
What I took away was I really this might be the biggest Nebraska basketball team, just in terms of sheer size on the roster since like the late 80s. Like, they're a big team. Like, and on Sunday, one of the teams, the red team, had a very distinct size advantage. When you have Braxton Mia on your side, that tends to help. But I really like some of the pieces. I'm not going to look too much into shooting, considering I don't think they got any shots up in there until pregame warmups, and it's an arena configured for volleyball. But I liked what I saw, and I was probably the most impressed by how the point guard spot looked, considering they didn't have a true point guard last year. And then I wasn't really too shocked or surprised by anything, really.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the 3-point shooting. Like, I don't know. They started, what was it, 0 for 8, right? And you're just like, uh-oh, what kind of team is this going to be? But then you think, all right, well, let's just calm down here.
And then it's no coincidence that Cale Jacobson, who has played probably double-digit state tournament games in that building during his time at Ashland Greenwood, was the first guy to make a three, and then the first guy to make multiple threes. It's like he's played in here before. And the team that had more shooters on it was the team that looked outmatched. I mean, there's no coincidence in that thing, but not going to put too much stock into it.
So are you reading into the starters for the Red: Raleigh Worcester, Bryce Williams, Juwan Gary, Berkay, and Braxton Mia? That seems kind of like a starting lineup to me, Jacob.
It definitely seems like a starting lineup. The question with that group would be outside shooting. Your kind of one perimeter threat with that group is probably Bryce Williams. So in a Fred Hoiberg offense, you're probably wondering where the shooting would be with that group. But we've also heard Fred kind of emphasize that just because you have 5 on the floor to start a game doesn't mean that's going to be the same 5 on the floor to finish. Obviously, I think Connor Artesian is making quite the case to either be your 6th man or maybe that 5th starter. But Fred's also been pretty vocal about how he likes the size with that group, and he thinks this is the most versatile team he's had at Nebraska. So why not start with some tall ball, I guess.
Tall ball. We've gotten so used to hearing small ball around here. It's now tall ball, and it sounds funny.
It does sound funny, especially if this is Nebraska basketball we're talking about. After all, we've heard all about these small lineups, that no true point guard, no true 5-man. Now they've got those things, and they've got tall versions of both of them.
How
a little tall ball.
How about the reintroduction of the true point guard? Whether it's going to be Riley Worcester or Aaron Eulis this year, it feels like maybe even Sam Hoiberg, operating with the basketball in his hands from time to time as well. That seems like that position, maybe for the first time in a while, is in at least like safe hands. You feel like they can operate the offense and spread the ball around to other people, and you don't need them to be, huge factors in the scoring category either.
Absolutely. I don't think Riley Worcester is going to be doing any bow and arrow celebrations after he makes threes at TBA. He didn't attempt his second, field goal attempt until like the game was almost over. He took one, shot in the first half, and then he took a 3 late in the game, but finished with 9 assists. And that's you couldn't really, it is a scrimmage, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But obviously he's very, playmaking oriented. The ball movement was the biggest thing that stood out, for both groups. And Riley Worcester being the straw that stirs the drink for Nebraska when he's got, more than 100, games played under his belt playing for Craig Smith. You got to be smart to play for Craig Smith. I know that firsthand. So, he's gonna make the right play, make the right read, and he's just gonna be level-headed. And Nebraska hasn't had that at the point in a few years.
So the other, we talked about the starting 5 on the red team, and that feels like maybe a starting lineup. And then you looked over at the white team, and you're like, oh, that's a lineup that kind of makes sense from a depth position as well. Although I don't think the backcourt was a little small in that specific case, but. You have some depth here, and you could even go down to guys like Frager, Cale Jacobson is far down, Nick Janowski that far down on the roster. But, we mentioned the starting lineups that went up against each other on Sunday. That gives you 10. Like, realistically, how far are you going to go down into this thing before, you run out of room on that bench?
Yeah, I think they probably end up at 8 or 9 by the time we get to conference play. 9 would probably even be a stretch, but that's pretty matchup dependent. I think one of the actual pros of their rather light non-con is there's going to be chances for guys to play. There's going to be chances for them to tinker with lineups and rotations and give guys a chance to shine. I don't think guys are looking to redshirt anymore. And that, when you're talking about guys like Braden Frager and Nick Janowski. A lot of good talk on both of those guys over the summer. People forget Braden Frager is 17 years old. He should be a senior at Lincoln Southwest. He reclassed, and he looked like he belonged on the court on Sunday. And could see some early minutes for him in the non-con. But I think when it gets down to it, you're probably looking at around an 8 or 9. 9 being the max.
All right, Jacob, how do you feel about Husker football coming off their bye, going into this game against Indiana? Are you on the Signetti hype train, or are you railing against it? Like, where do you stand on this new character of the conference, since you love characters?
I'm in the middle. I'm not like railing against it by any means. I'm in the middle. I'm not like, Indiana. I'm not Mr. Indiana football, but I am, college sports needs characters. So, obviously I was high on the hire. I thought they'd, be improved before the season. I did not expect them to be 6-0 and the number 16 team in the country. I think this game has the chance to be pretty entertaining. Could, be a little back and forth. I think I'm interested in looking at it. I need to, dive into some tape a little more. I'm not making the trip to Bloomington this weekend, but
sad.
I think it's very sad, very, very sad. I'll be in Ames, Iowa instead, but I think it'll be a good game. I like Nebraska. I like Nebraska's chances, but I feel like Nebraska's margin for error against any team right now is very, very slim. So, that definitely plays into, looking at the spread. They're a touchdown underdog, but if they're on their game, they can hang in there, and I think it'll be an entertaining back and forth game.
Ames, Iowa. Is there a football game, or is there like a secret scrimmage? What's going on out there?
There is a football game. They're playing Central Florida, so I'm going to Iowa State, Central Florida.
Look at Saturday that. Jacob's just hopping on the bandwagons of the of the teams within the radius that could make the college football playoff. I get it. I understand.
Hey, if friends of mine will have me at their tailgates, I will go anywhere. I will go anywhere. If they're like, hey, Nebraska's not in town, you need some more tailgate this weekend. Why, yes, I do. I will gladly make the trip up to Ames, and I always have a good time up there. So,
and as we know, Jacob has friends in many, many places, as we've seen.
Shocking as it may seem, people do claim to like me as a person. It is an upset every time I hear it, but it is becoming more and more clear and apparent.
All right, Jacob. Well, enjoy your week and your weekend, my friend. Always appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Nope, same to you guys. Appreciate the time. Have a good rest of the week.
That is Jacob Bigelow of Huskers Illustrated and the Stretch Big Pod. He friends in many places. I wasn't going to say low places.
No.
We want to disparage our friends out there in Ames, Iowa.
Many of Jacob's friends could be our friends. You never know.
We all have many friends.
That's right.
Josh. The basketball coaches this morning all came together. Our local basketball coaches all came together for the Coaches versus Cancer preseason breakfast this morning.
Great event.
So you had Fred wearing his red, you had Mac wearing his blue, and you had Crutch wearing his black. And they all sat up there together with dear friend Nick Baugh.
We love Nick Baugh, and he loves us.
So they each have secret scrimmages coming up, I think, soon. And I want to say Nebraska's going to Utah. Creighton's going to play Iowa State. And gosh, who would Omaha play in a secret scrimmage?
Oh, secret scrimmage.
Padilla went through a list of these items and what they said earlier. And our dear friend, Denver. And our dear friend.
No, I don't know if I'm just.
I'm
saying things.
So Creighton against Iowa State, Nebraska versus Utah, Omaha versus Western Illinois in their upcoming secret scrimmages that we almost 100% of the time end up getting box scores from.
Interesting.
Very secret, very secret. And then John Rothstein will do a tweet and he'll say, the moles are telling me that somebody handled somebody in this secret scrimmage. I like it when they do charity exhibitions. Each of the well, I don't know about Omaha, but I know Creighton and Nebraska each have charity exhibitions as well. Love to see it.
Yeah. Good cause.
All right. We'll come back. And a few things left to discuss here today on the show. Oh, we haven't discussed how Otani and Judge are actually the only two people left in the playoffs. So there's that. There's been another trade in the NFL.
Another trade.
And impactful newcomers in college football this year. We'll get into a few of those things as we come back on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. There has been a trade. Another one in the NFL.
A trade?
On top of Devonte Adams being moved cross country, he did that during the game last night. Just hanging out with Aaron Rodgers now, and his appearance on McAfee today. Another wide receiver is on the move. Not very far this time, though. From Cleveland to Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Amari Cooper has been traded to the Bills for a 2025 third and a 2026 seventh round pick. The Bills get Amari Cooper and a 2025 sixth. So they get a little kickback there. But the Browns know that they are bad.
So both teams that played in Monday Night Football last night said, we need a pass catcher.
That's right.
Okay.
The Browns converted, this is from Tom Pelissero, the Browns converted almost $19 million of Amari Cooper's $20 million salary back to a signing bonus back in March. Buffalo didn't have the flexibility to pay Devonte Adams $11.6 million for the rest of the 2024 season like the Jets did. And now they're getting Cooper for a grand total of $806,000 for the rest of the season because the Browns gave him that guaranteed money at the beginning of the year. Also, the Devonte Adams trade is now official, according to the Jets. All right.
We have another.
Is there another trade?
Yes.
All right.
But it's a game. A game has been traded. We've had a flex.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
In the NFL. Bengals Eagles week 8 on October 27th has been removed from the 3:30
goodbye
window and replaced. Who will Jim Nantz and Tony Romo be talking about?
Bears.
Commanders.
Bears Commanders.
Yes.
Caleb Williams
versus
Jaden
Daniels.
Daniels. Yes. We love narratives. We love narratives. All right. This is from Bill Connolly.
Hi, Bill.
Ranking college football. Actually, this is not from Bill Connolly. This is from Eli Lederman and Max Olson.
Hi, Eli and Max.
Friend of the show, Max Olson. Ranking college football's top 50 newcomers at midseason. Top 50 newcomers at midseason. Number 1 is Cam Ward. Number 2 is Jeremiah Smith. Number 3 is Ryan Williams. And then we go farther and further down the list. And I'm wondering where Dylan Raiola is going to pop up. He did pop up, but not until we got to number... where did he end up? I had this earlier. Not until we got to number 34. 34. Now this is including transfers and freshmen. But I thought it was interesting on the list. First of all, a couple things. Number 1, Curtis Rourke is number 5. Curtis Rourke.
Curtis with a K.
Curtis with a K, the quarterback that Nebraska is going to see this week against Indiana. But I thought this was maybe even more interesting. By the way, your boy Diego Pavia is on here.
Hell yeah.
How about Kyle McCord coming in at number 11?
Kyle McCord, 11?
Kyle McCord.
Really?
The former Ohio State quarterback. Here's the blurb on him. If McCord fell short of expectations in his lone season starting in Ohio State, he's exceeding them in his debut campaign with Syracuse. McCord became the first Orange quarterback to throw for 300 yards in 6 consecutive games when he had 346 passing yards, a pair of touchdowns against whoever they played on Saturday. Through 6 games, McCord has thrown for more first downs than any other FBS passer nationally, and his 360 yards per game ranks him only second to Cam Ward. Kyle McCord's Orange are 5-1, and he's on pace to set a series of career highs this fall. Obviously, he's gotten out of the pressure cooker that was the Ohio State offense and the offense that didn't really let him do anything. He has now flourished at Syracuse. So you know the question, Josh. Should we have taken McCord?
Go ahead and ask it. Connor,
what if they had taken McCord? What if?
After giving this much thought, I've been deep in thought on this. Hell no. That guy sucks.
You don't think McCord is good?
Compared to a shiny legacy 5-star.
I love that part. I love the legacy part. That's for sure. Kyle McCord this year has completed 66% of his passes.
Average.
He's thrown 19 touchdowns already. You know how many Dylon's thrown?
Okay, that sounds like a lot.
8. I believe that's right. 8?
That number should be higher, right? We should maybe be
no, it might be 9. It might be 9 by now.
That still low.
He has thrown 6 interceptions. Kyle has. He's thrown for 2,100
really?
yards. Like they're cutting it loose with this guy.
Not careful with the football.
No, but they are cutting it loose. And so maybe there's a lesson here for Nebraska in the second half of the season. Maybe Dylon cuts it loose a little bit.
Loose.
I am not, just to be very clear, I'm not making the case that Nebraska should have told Dylan Raiola at the end of his recruiting process. You know, he called Matt Rule that morning. He said, "Coach, I really want to come to Nebraska." And then Matt Rule's response should have been, "No, click. We have Kyle." I am not saying that.
The hell out of here.
I am not saying that for the record. But so much about quarterback play is about how much control you give them, how much trust you have in them, and how much, opportunity to work are you going to give them to a certain extent, right? You don't want all the pressure to fall on their shoulders.
Big pumpkin watch this weekend.
Kyle McCord
in Pittsburgh as Syracuse plays Pittsburgh. The loser of that game is a pumpkin.
Well, you don't get a double pumpkin watch.
Two pumpkins are about to meet each other. Pittsburgh is undefeated.
You might have just got lucky with that. I know Pittsburgh is undefeated. Pittsburgh is, people are talking about Pittsburgh in the college football playoff. This is our life now. If you're 6-0 in the middle of October now, you get to be talked about as it pertains to the college football playoff. It's an amazing thing to do.
Also, wow. Pitt, Virginia Tech, Boston College, Cal up next for Syracuse.
Tricky.
Feels tougher than Holy Cross and UNLV without their quarterback.
So maybe we're not talking about young Kyle this way in a few weeks.
Feels like he might not be able to get loose.
You're saying Kyle McCord is a pumpkin?
Yeah.
So they didn't let him do anything at Ohio State, and then they ran him off, right? Last year, they only let him attempt 348 passes. He's already attempted 282.
Okay.
So far this year. So he'll pass that in about 2 games.
Do you have the rushing stats in front of you for Syracuse as a team?
As a team?
Yeah.
No.
It's got to be paltry, right?
I could certainly get there. Syracuse rushing, their top rusher is named LeQuint Allen, and he has 450 yards on the ground so far. So it's not nothing, Josh.
He's 10th in the ACC.
LeQuint?
Yeah.
My guy, LeQuint?
LeQuint is 10th.
Top
10 running back in the ACC.
They have another guy who's got 100 on top of that.
He's 8th in touchdowns in the ACC.
How about former Nebraska Cornhusker Will Nixon?
Whoa.
Who's involved in their offense a little bit. That guy must have played at 100 schools by now. But
that's the goal.
Yeah. So a lot of this is about the control and how tight the reins are on quarterback play, right? And so I think everybody was really quick to write off Kyle McCord after his year at Ohio State. This guy can't do anything. And to be fair, Ohio State always, is really infatuated with the guys who really can exceed your ceiling, right? They can really I shouldn't say exceed, I should say raise your ceiling. The super uber talented guys, the CJ Strouds of the world, the Dwayne Haskins of the world, those guys, they couldn't deny them because of what they give you from a ceiling standpoint, which makes it all the more confusing to me why they're starting Will Howard this year. But that's different. I don't think he raises their ceiling very much, right?
He does not.
I mean, could Kyle McCord do what Will Howard's doing this year? I kind of think so.
I think so.
And that's been proven out in his time at Syracuse now. So back to it being a Nebraska topic. We'll just see what happens with Dylan Raiola in the second half of the season. But I have a sense that Nebraska is they're obviously going to be in some tighter games. There's going to be some close ones late. And I think in those cases, you're going to ask your quarterback to kind of make some plays. And maybe you feel like your opportunity against some of these tougher physical Big Ten teams is to get a little loose on them, throw it through the air a little bit. You're going to need some more from your wide receivers. You're obviously going to need more from your running backs. But it wouldn't surprise me if Dylan Raiola rips off a nice stretch where he's got, we're talking 250, 275, 300-yard passing games.
So just
maybe he throws a couple more picks. I'll trade that at the point that they're at right now.
Get a little more aggressive.
If we're talking like 4 touchdowns, 2 picks or something like that, like I can live with that. I just think Nebraska's been a little bit conservative so far this year, and it's maybe by design. Maybe it's by design.
As a fan, I'm sitting here like, God, Matt Rule said they weren't going to limit him. They were just going to let him be him. And boy, reading those stat lines next to each other, boy, it sure seems like they're keeping a lid on him.
It's light.
Yeah,
it's light. Now what they're allowing him to do and what they're putting on his plate, I guess, are 2 different things, probably. Right? They're making him do all the things, but they've also said, hey, times get tough. We're just gonna not turn the ball over. Like that's our thing. We're not turning the ball over.
And obviously that's better in the long run. But as a fan, it's hard to sit here and go, man, if you think he's that good, I think he's that good.
I'm ready for the cork to come off.
Yeah,
let's pop it. Let's see what's going on.
Maybe it's against Indiana where one of the permeations of that game is a shootout.
Yep.
That is one of the ways that game could go.
Maybe you start to see it a little bit. All right. We'll take a break, come back. We'll get to the poll questions. We'll tell you what to watch on the other side on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, so the Polls at Happer Show. By the way, don't forget to get your suggestions in for Josh's big meteor game of the week.
That's right. It's coming. We got to pick one.
We have some submissions in already, but please tweet them at producer_Josh, and we'll be featured on the show on Friday. We'll preview the big meteor game of the week.
I've got a few written down. I want to know what the audience thinks.
So big meteor game of the week. And then I also was thinking, as my head hit the pillow on Sunday, I was thinking, why don't we do a Monday segment where we recap our banger of the weekend, wherever that comes from.
I noticed you were really laying into Ohio State, Oregon being a banger.
Banger of the weekend.
And it was.
Maybe we'll get a banger this weekend.
Oh, we will. We always do.
But we'll definitely get a big meteor game. A lot of things that we hate. So get your tweets at Happer Show or at producer_Josh. To the polls, speaking of at Happer Show, yesterday there was a poll question in the afternoon crossover. Could you have sworn Larry King was still alive when Nebraska hired Matt Rule?
No, not a chance.
No.
I don't know where John Bishop got this from.
He was very wrong about that. Not sure why he compared the two together. Anyway,
so shocked that Larry King was
There's
dead.
no way. 65% say no. And a couple poll questions from today's show. Was JFK the Travis Hunter of his time?
I think he was. I think we really need to investigate this.
60% say no.
Okay. Also, protect Travis Hunter at all costs.
Very important poll question and most voted on poll question of the day. Which would you rather have us talk about? The high school football discourse or the Caitlin Clark thing?
Who was it that responded big meteor?
Good response. I actually don't know which way to vote on this.
Chad in the
I think I'd
replies.
rather talk about the Caitlin Clark thing.
Real wow.
And end the bit. What's Chad say in the comments?
Chad was the person who said big meteor.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to vote for the Caitlin Clark thing.
Wow.
72% say the high school football discourse. Okay. Noted.
I would like to have someone on and just
ask them about it.
Ask them literally one question and have them talk about it for 10 minutes on their own.
And finally, do you love when people believe stuff?
A quote from Connor Happer's mouth during the odd news.
68% say yes. I say yes as well. I love that.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
You believe what you believe, man.
Mm-hmm.
I love when you believe it. I think my favorite part of the show was when I compared Kurt Signetti to Ray Zielinski Auto Parts.
Good comp. Definitely go back in the radio replay and watch
that. Should be what you remember from today.
AM crossover was pretty good too.
Okay. All right. We're trying to get better every day. Those are the polls, Josh. What are we watching tonight?
Just love the process. Connor woke me up at my desk this morning. Game 2 of the are we AL or NL today? I wrote down AL.
I believe we're back to the NL. Well, no, it'll be the AL today because they'll go 2 days in a row, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I was right. I'm sorry.
Today is the day off.
Never
for
guess
the NL
yourselves,
series.
children. Guardians Yanks game 2. Yankees lead 1-0.
It's Garrett Cole. Time to hear about Garrett Cole.
6:30 start on TBS True TV and Max. A trio of college football games that you'll tell your friends you're excited about, but are not actually excited about. It is Troy at South Alabama tonight, 6:30 on ESPN2. Kennesaw State at Middle Tennessee State, 7 p.m. CBS Sports Network. Maybe you take Middle Tennessee in that one. Louisiana Tech at New Mexico State, who seems to continuously play on these Tuesday night games, 8 o'clock ESPNU. ESPN has a NHL doubleheader tonight, 6:30. Puck drop for the Wild and the Blues, followed by Flyers, Oilers. Little Connor McDavid for you. Little Connor McDavid after dark. How you like that?
Sounds great.
Peacock has a new 3-part docuseries titled Anatomy of Lies. It chronicles the rise and fall of Grey's Anatomy writer Elizabeth Finch, whose jaw-dropping lies fooled Hollywood for years.
Wow, so many lies.
Yeah, she was like, hey, I love that you all love my work here on Grey's Anatomy. I'm really sick. I have many different cancers. Please.
But then she didn't?
She did not. She was perfectly healthy.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Those are some bad lies.
Bad lies. And finally, at 7 o'clock tonight on BET, it is the BET Hip Hop Awards. in which the following people will perform. I think it will just be funny to have me read them because I'm
white.
I'm white and an idiot.
Yep. Come on.
310 baby spelled all lowercase BABII.
Okay, I don't know that one.
2 Chainz, I'm very familiar.
Yep, that's a legacy.
Big Boogie featuring Glorilla. I know Glorilla. Not familiar with Big Boogie. I don't know.
Big Boogie.
I don't know if Boogie Cousins started a music career.
All right.
Boss Man D-Lo.
Yep. Boss Man D-Lo. People like Boss Man D-Lo.
E40.
E40? Wow.
I know E40.
E40's not passed out behind home plate at the Royals game? That's weird.
Juicy J.
Okay, Juicy J.
I'm familiar.
Wow, these are old.
Soulja Boy featuring Roscoe
What are
Dash.
we doing? Wow. Are they going to do No Hands?
Sure. I don't know what that
All right.
means. Superman. And Trina featuring Young.
Trina?
I know Trina featuring Young Miami. Young spelled Y-U-N-G. Y-U-N-G.
Young Miami or Young Mommy?
I would have thought it would be Mommy, but I just copied and pasted
Okay.
this from the listing.
All right.
And the new Fat Joe hosts. He's not fat anymore. He's quite skinny.
Yeah.
He took Ozempic.
Regular Joe.
Yeah. He's on the Post Malone diet.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So big night
Hey.
on the BET Hip Hop Awards.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
For watching tonight. That's the show. If you missed anything, you can find it all on our website, 1620thezone.com. The crossover's next.